Okay, welcome back to Anime Savants, everyone, and it's officially been a year. So, episode 5-2. And today, I hope everyone had a great Father's Day, because that's when we're recording this. And I am Omni-Man.
I am Bright Noah.
Oh. Okay.
Very relevant.
Yes, very relevant. And this is Anime Savants. So, all right, like news. Where do I even start? Okay, so not Saga of Tanya. Tanya is getting a second season. It's about fucking time.
Good.
Like,
just good.
Yeah, and that's all I really gotta say about that. The movie was fucking really good. It was really, really well, not like phenomenal good, but it literally was just like the continuation. And yeah, I ain't got nothing wrong with that. Fucking loved it. Other than that, Wotakoi, Love is Hard for an Otaku. The manga is ending, but it's getting one more episode, and that's gonna come out with the final volumes. I think it's gonna be like bundled with them. So it kind of sucks that it's ending, but also we get another anime episode, and that's one of like the best slice of life anime, like slice of life / like rom-com animes that I've ever watched. But it's also so fucking relatable because the niggas in the show are actually otaku, but not like disgusting. They're like active, like human beings who just happen to have these fucking hobbies, and that's how they present it. And so it's just so refreshing for them to not be seen as like, alien or like weird. So that's good. Oh, so this one is very interesting. So Baki the Grappler, right?
Yup.
So there is a live action series based off of a Baki the Grappler Boys Love essay.
Stop.
Yeah. So the thing is, it's not a BL series.
What?
It's about a Fujoshi literally letting her BL fantasies like run wild and like get ahead of her.
All right. Okay. All right.
So it's not a BL series. Like, she's the main character.
Okay.
So at least I don't think it's a BL, but like they're mentioning it, I guess, in BL, like, news things and balls, because I guess like that is I don't know. I guess it's just her being a Fujoshi and people finding out about it. So, but that was very interesting because when I think of Baki the Grappler, which I did not watch, nor did I read, but I don't get BL, but also I don't know. So, yeah.
I mean, that's a long walk to get to an actual show.
Okay.
It is. You know what I mean? You're like, okay,
well, it's coming.
Right. I have to accept that. So I'll just file that one away in the pile of how is this getting made? I mean, like, I guess in a sense, I'm trying to think, are there too many stories that I can recall where you have a Fujoshi main character? You see that actually a lot as like side characters, right? Like,
yeah,
these like slice of life or rom-com series where there'll be a bunch of girls and there will usually be like a hot guy involved, and then you'll have that like aside when like the two hot guys in class get close to each other and there's some like squealing coming from the back from some like B or C character, and like, okay, they're supposed to kind of be a Fujoshi stand-in, but I can't think of too many where they're the actual lead. So I mean, I guess there's value there. I'm not here to like crap on the concept because, frankly, with some of the stuff I've been reading in the last week, this is probably the most straightforward pitch for a show. So fine.
Yeah,
I'm whatever.
If it's coming, it's coming.
Right.
I'm probably going to check it. The only way that I will check this out is if it shows up on one of like the scanlation sites that does translations for like currently airing Japanese TV shows. If it doesn't show up on that website, then I'm probably not gonna watch.
Because it's like a live action, right?
Yeah, it's live action. Yeah. Which they be having some really good fucking shows.
I'm just out of the loop on it. I probably need to catch up. Somebody really was getting on my case about not watching the Rurouni Kenshin movies. And, fair play. I don't think about them very much.
Yeah, Netflix has been advertising it hard.
Yeah, I don't know why it's just so totally flown past me. Apparently, the last one is really, really good. And I've generally just heard like good things about them. Like normally when these things come out and they suck, there's a lot of energy there. And to be fair, I didn't hear that commentary really for any of the movies in that series. So I think I've just been mentally blocking their existence out because of other failed efforts, but I will give it a shot. I think what I'm doing? I'm thinking about what was that? What the heck was the name of that with Manji and the immortal guy? I don't know why my brain is blanking, but there are a similar live action adaptation that did not hit the right note for me, but I will give Kenshin its due at some point.
Okay. Something to check out. And then, I don't know if you have this on yours already, but you see the Kaiju number 8 news?
No, actually.
It's the fastest Shonen Jump Plus manga, the top 3 million copies in circulation.
Wow. Well, that goes hand in hand with what we talked about maybe 3 months ago.
Yeah, you said it was gonna be something, and yeah, it's showing the fuck up.
Yeah, I mean, that and Spy Family, because that one I know is coming, it's getting animated.
Yeah.
But like those two were part of the Jump Plus class of content that they're producing for their online platform, and they don't really release at the same rate as the weekly paper product stuff, but they were popular even on volume 1, like extremely popular. So I'm not surprised by that at all.
Yeah, and then my final one, which is a mini rant, and also me wanting a refund, but not wanting to waste my one refund on PSN.
What?
So, basically, Gundam Breaker Battle Log is getting.
Okay, I know where this is going. Okay.
Yeah, you know where this is going.
Yes.
It's getting a 6-episode anime project. So here's the thing about Gundam Breaker. The little like mini episodes are like the anime things that accompany the games are usually really fucking cool because it's just pure Sakuga for the most part. It's pure Gundam Sakuga. I never have a problem with that. But Gundam Breaker 1, 2, 3, the ones that like only released in Japan and Asia, it had like English subtitles, but was never like explicitly sold in America. Those games were fucking fun. I loved going to, the New York City shops and, the import shops and picking it up and having fun. New Gundam Breaker, bitch, I want my money back.
So you played the one on PlayStation 4.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. I was the one that recommended it to you.
Yeah, I have issues.
It was ass. It was nothing like the previous game. They touted all these new features. It was so generic, so boring. The storyline was ass backwards. Like, I was so disappointed. It was so bad. And a new game is supposed to be accompanying this project. So this time, I'm not buying it outright.
Yeah, I would also advise against it. I mean, I could join you in your rant about the incredibly uninspiring anime games in general. It's one of my greatest frustrations is that you have these franchises that they make so much money. Like, it is insane how much money they make. And it feels like the parent companies are just completely inept when it comes to finding a development studio and leadership with vision, because there are so many concepts, especially in Gundam Breaker, there are so many concepts that would have been married with that engine that they have, but the need to stretch out the content it just kills my interest in that game. Like the gameplay itself is very basic, very very
Yes.
very basic, and then the
Yes.
collection aspect, because it's not really tied to a strong storyline. It feels more like it was an engine demo than really a full-fledged game, and
Yeah. Yeah.
the chaotic nature of the type of game. It's sort of Musou. It's sort of a lot of things, but what it's not is Gundam. And that's one of my big complaints with a lot of the Gundam games, with very few exceptions. There was a Gundam game on Dreamcast that I felt was one of the only non like strategy games. I know Giren's Greed is one that people go back to as like I think it's PC Engine,
Oh.
and then they've remade it a couple of times. But like those are the games that really get one side of Gundam storytelling in game form. But aside from the strategy games, I feel like why haven't we gotten that Gundam title that actually lets you feel like you are creating the moments that are so iconic from the series from an action point of view? And it just has
So
not happened.
I feel like I remember, well, not getting into, but like I've always been open to Gundam games, especially like the ones on PS2, the Dynasty Warriors one. Well, that was
Yeah.
on PS3. But what was it? Gundam Federation versus Zeon. That shit was fun for like what it was, but I think that was also because it had like some semblance of a story.
Yeah.
And I think they dropped the ball with Gundam Breaker because they could have done like a crossover story with that shit and like
Yeah.
made that like, part of it. But they never did, and it sucks. And
I would recommend Gundam Side Story 0079, which is Rise
oh,
from the Ashes, which is the one a Dreamcast Gundam game that made it over to the West. It's really really good. It tells a very grounded Gundam type story, and actually
is
makes
it
you
an
feel like
original story?
it's an original story, and it makes you feel like you are playing inside of the universe, which is something that I think a majority of the Gundam games I've ever played completely fail to do at almost every level. Um, so I don't know what else to say. Like Gundam Breaker was a waste of money when I bought it. It also barely worked at the
Yeah.
time. Like when it came out, it was just like completely non-functional. This was a Unreal Engine 4 game where I felt like the devs kind of didn't know how to even use the engine that they had. And I don't know if you've watched lately some of the game demos that have come out pre E3 for some of these like Chinese studios, the ones that look like they're like a movie. You're playing a movie. My question
Yeah.
is, why don't we have that Gundam game where I feel like I'm playing it and I'm getting the Amuro Ray 0079 story, for real, for real. It like looks like I'm watching a movie. Why do I not have that? There's just no ambition. I guess that's really what it comes down to with these like anime games. There's just no ambition whatsoever. It's just there to sell merchandise. They put the right thing on the cover, and then they try to stretch out an hour's worth of real in-game content over like 1,000 hours of weird grinding that doesn't have anything to do with the series at all.
Feels unfulfilling as fuck.
When was any new type hero from a Gundam game grinding?
Yeah.
Doesn't make any sense. That's all. That's it. Just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. And then bouncing off of that with my last topic is they announced Super Robot Wars 30. It's been 30 years of that fucking game series. So that's like a fucking wow. And the
Yeesh.
only thing they've announced, I think, so far, or the series that they announced that's for sure gonna be in it, is like I think Mazinger Z, Code Geass, and I think one other like oldie. But yeah, I'm excited about that game, and I know exactly what series I want to be fucking in it now.
Back arrow.
Absolutely. Do you know niggas was literally like, they just announced a new Super Robot Wars game and this shit just fucking finished and Back Arrow needs to be in it, and I'm
I think
like,
that's
yes.
a guarantee. It's probably a guarantee that's in there. I mean, isn't it by Bandai Spirits? Back Arrow. I think that's part of their production.
Oh,
I
is
think
it?
yeah, I think it is. I think we
Because
mentioned
if
this before.
if Cross Ange can get into it, I think Back Arrow definitely can get into
Well, I
it.
thought that's what the whole point of the Super Robot Wars games was just to shill for whatever the latest, like, if whatever Mecha series Bandai produced that year.
Yeah, Bandai Spirits. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's probably definitely going to be in that. See it? Now I'm excited. Okay.
Yeah,
That's all my news. That's
cool.
all my news.
I have a couple, they're, again, bullet point stuff. The Japanese TV ratings for the last week or so just sort of solidifies the thing I usually mention, which is
the kid shows.
The kids, it's not just kids, it's stuff for kids and families. Like, I forget how popular things like Detective Conan and Doraemon are, but like even when we think about like what's kind of the hot thing on the anime side, when you see One Piece and My Hero kind of neck and neck, and they're the only sort of like or the only like shonen shows that are in their top 10 on a week-to-week basis, I think it says a lot just about, where the fandom might be and then what's like actually happening on Japanese TV. Also, funny enough, the only other like non-family show that's in the top 10 is the current season of Precure. So
boy.
Yeah.
And
so it's
the new girl just debuted this week, and fuck yes, mermaids. Okay.
There you go. So yeah, next. You got the Eva movie moving 6 million in tickets domestically, which I think is a big deal. It's well on its way to being, just a box office smash
monster.
And it'll probably continue because if my memory serves, the last film basically had a run that lasted almost 6 months. So it was crazy. It did very well.
And then aren't they putting is it the new version of the movie?
There's an IMAX version, I think, that's also coming as well. Yeah, I mean, they're going to be eating off of this for a long time, which is good. And it may not be the last Anno version of Evangelion, but given his recent or semi-recent comments, that his interest is seeing other people's visions of the series. So this isn't even the end, even though it's the final Evangelion film, air quotes. So we'll see some more of that.
Well, yeah, because the universe thing that you were talking about, or his vision,
right?
At least.
Yeah, and maybe they'll be in short order, given how much money this is making. First of all, I wouldn't be surprised if we get another TV series or ONA out of this in the next 2 years. It just seems like that's.
Do you think that they would ever reboot it or
Absolutely,
like remake
100%,
it?
100%, yes.
I mean, like this is kind of like the end of this reboot/remake, but you think they do this all over again?
I do, and in fact, I think they would take the Gundam Unicorn approach, which is when they released that series of OVAs, were basically full-length films. They released 3 or 4 of them, and then you waited a year, and then they made a TV cut out of them and added a little bit of extra footage and some other things. And I think that's probably it might be where this version is headed. It could also, I would be shocked, at least in the next 5 to 10 years, while Anno is still alive and active, that they will do a complete redo of the TV series.
Okay.
I would not be surprised by that at all, just because the money is the money incentive is too high. If Anno comes back more as a producer, this could sort of be his excuse to let somebody else direct. And typically, if you're adapting movie material, you can keep all the storyboards, and you don't have to do new series planning. So he's a finicky guy, but if he hadn't made all those comments about turning Evangelion into a pillar of Japanese anime and media, a la Dragon Ball, Gundam, and I think he'd mentioned one other series. Like, if he hadn't said that, I'd be like, oh, he's too much of an auteur to give up control. But he's very obviously intentional about there being more Evangelion. I mean, listen, there are 68 or 69, however many Evangelion universes. So
yeah,
that you think they wouldn't add another one? Like, whatever. It's not that big a deal. If we can have the Evangelion Fanta universe, then this is just as reasonable to get a TV series or another movie soon. Not wait too long. So there's that, and then I wanted to highlight just an interesting pitch that I had for a show that's coming next season or the season after next, which is that Uncle from Another World isekai, which I thought was
what?
I'm just gonna read the description of the story, which is 17 years ago, Takafumi's uncle fell into a coma, but now he's back like a man risen from his grave. Soon, Takafumi discovers two bizarre things. His uncle treasures video games above all else, and, while comatose, he was actually transported to another world as some heroic guardian. Now, not only does Takafumi have to room with an uncle who is literally magical, he also has to catch the guy up on 2 decades of history. Smartphones, high-speed internet, modern anime tropes, and the traumatic outcome of the 90s console war. So this is a a manga series that's been running for a couple of years, and I just think that the premise is funny enough that I would give this a look just as a break from some of the heavier things. I just think it's it's not even a reverse isekai. It's like an aftermath of an isekai as a comedy, which is fine. I think that's a as unique a take as you can get these days. So I just think it's funny.
Yeah, that's okay. Is that for this next season?
I think it's the season after next, because they're just announcing that it's getting TV now. So that would.
Okay.
Yeah. So
that sounds I'd watch that.
And the author is apparently a really funny dude as well, because they did an interview with him, and he passed off the air quotes news that his story was getting animated as quote fake news. Oh. So I appreciate.
So he's just trolling everybody.
Yeah, he's just fucking around.
Perfect. Is that all your news?
That's it. I don't feel passionate about anything anymore. Not this week. Fucking Dick Fight Island took it out of me.
What? Wait. Why did Dick Fight Island come up right now?
Well, because it
exists.
Well, the manga is now translated into English, so the first volume is out.
Yeah, it sold out on Amazon.
Yeah, I know. I'm very well aware of what it did. Too aware.
Okay. So what do you want to actually? Let's just get Vivi over with.
Yeah.
I gotta get it over with. Unless there's something else that you want to talk about first.
I just feel, we watched a lot of finales, or at least a couple finales this week. So Vivi's was the one where I had different emotions about it. I'd rather hear your thoughts first.
It was very lackluster.
Yeah.
I think primarily because I was hyping it up in my mind to be something that it definitely was not. Right. I didn't get my Symphogear moment.
You did not.
Which it kind of. I'm not pissed at it because the ending was the ending. They literally gave us exactly what they said they were going to do. There was no twist. There was no nothing. They literally were like, she's going to sing and it's going to stop. And it's like, okay. And that's what happened. And I like the song. Shout out to the song for bringing the previous voice actresses back and having them do the building the chord with the Hibike thing. I was like, this is great. I love this part. But also they should have projected their images to sing on stage with her. It's not it wasn't as fantastical as it could have been.
Yeah.
That's what I will say. I had really high expectations, and I'm not gonna say that I was let down because they don't owe me shit. I'm not the one in the studio animating the shit or storyboarding or directing it. So I get it, but at the same time, how the hell are all of the previous climaxes of all the arcs in the series balls to the walls Sakuga and Emotion, and this just felt flat to me.
Yeah.
Also, even the ending, we didn't even get that much of an epilogue.
Nope.
So yeah, what you
So
think? Go ahead.
when we got to around like the third or fourth episode, I think I made a comment about, there's a lot that's being left on the table as far as the content of the story, and that I was going to withhold my judgment about the choices that they made, time skipping, giving us major plot elements as one or two scene flashbacks with no context, and just hold to see if there was a different sort of resolution for all of it. So this goes back to when, was it Momoka dies on the plane, and we kind of have the implication that Matsumoto, I don't know if turned on Vivi's the right way, but beat the shit out of her so she couldn't save her, right? Like things like that you would think would deeply inform the relation between the characters. Was there going to be enough meat on the bone minus that stuff to really drive the story? And now we're at the end, and I can say my true opinion is that they dropped the ball. Now,
Yeah.
I'm not going to say that I'm disappointed, because this isn't necessarily the type of show that I like in general. I was just won over by a lot of the really strong aspects of the production. Like, I thought the story and the premise were interesting, and they remained interesting throughout the whole show. I thought the animation was fantastic. You're more into the music than I am. Like, I note when there's a really cool vocal track, but I'm not like digging into it and really living through it in a way where it's like, oh, I can't wait for the next time they've got one. I just thought it was cool. And there was a lot of things about the show that I thought were cool. One of the things I did not care for was the way in which the time travel element of the storytelling was hand waved away, essentially, in the last two episodes. Because there are a couple of problems that always come up in time travel stories that start to break the logic of everything that's going around. I'll give you a perfect example. In the final episode, or the end of the second to last episode into this one, we basically live out the bad ending of Vivi's story. She gets to the end, everybody dies, she's unable to sing, the apocalypse happens, and she fails, and then we're told through a literal Deus Ex Machina moment that she can redo just the ending so that we can get the good ending via time travel that was established in the first episode. Now, on its face, that doesn't seem like it's a contradiction, because we've already learned that this is a possibility within this universe. Second of all, we did hear from the supercomputer in that second to last episode that they were aware that time travel could be a thing, and were somehow auto-correcting for all the things that the heroes have been doing in order to steer the timeline in a different direction. That right there is a huge problem. Because we watched 10 or so episodes getting to know not only all these characters, but building up the importance of what they were doing in each of these arcs and vignettes and everything else, only to be told at the end of the story that essentially none of it mattered. And the reason why none of it mattered is not because of any explanation that was given in the story. It's that realistically, the coolest part of the plot was the robot apocalypse. So if you have an ending where it's like, oh, look, we did all the right stuff and now there's no robot apocalypse, I could tell that they really, 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 really wanted to show us what happened at the state of the world after those two episodes. Because, that's the thing that if you watch the first episode was your hook, because you saw something fucking out, people getting hit by robot cars, crossing guards, shooting humans in the head,
drones dive bombing
people. Everyone loves the dread of Skynet. I'm serious. We love it. That's why we like the Terminator. We like all these sort of apocalyptic AI stories, because the dread of these evil machines bent on wiping out humanity is just a great substitute for a natural disaster type threat that still feels very personal. So the fact that we had to get to that same spot in the story cheapened everything else that we did, and also made a lot of those unseen moments feel like a waste of time. Why were we even shown those things? What did that mean for any of the characters? Did Matsumoto spend time as his character arc comes to an end, reflecting on the way he, betrayed or hurt Vivi in order to put his mission front and center? Was there ever any resolution to that? No, there really wasn't. Did Vivi sit back and think, I learned how to sing from all these memories that I had, but by and large,
were they getting erased while she was singing?
Right, like what's the meaning of that? And I had this feeling when they did that panning shot when she's sort of, I would say like in the first stanza of her singing, where they put you first you have the close up of her and all these little holograms come up with her memories, and then they panned out and you realize that there's like 8 holograms. It's not that many. Like she's in the empty, she's in like the empty theater, and it's like not filling the theater with her memories, just like there's like a few of them. And that's really, I think, the fundamental problem with the show is that we needed a lot more of that connective tissue, that storytelling, those important characters, those like emotional moments, so that when she gets to that point where she's like, I'm going to commit suicide and end the AI threat by singing, we don't just get like a couple of shots, because it's really only 3 or 4 arcs that where those memories were generated that we actually got to see, right? Because it was a short series. So like to have that be the crescendo of everything, just like that pan out was exactly how I felt about the show. It wound up being just empty when it needed a lot more content and a lot more of a journey. Too much was left in the margins of those stories.
I just felt like a lot of shit wasn't explained in the end, and so I was just I wasn't confused. I was just like, what the fuck, man? Like, you could have, or not could have, you should have expounded upon this, and maybe this would have hit harder.
I mean, did like Metal Float need to be 3 episodes? No. Did the story with the other singer and like the robot that took her over?
Antonio,
did that need to be, was it 2 episodes? Did the falling satellite need to be 3 episodes? No, you could have cut the actual like fat of some of those stories to give us lots of moments. What this reminds me of, weirdly, is a much different show. Is it Aka 13 that came out?
Oh, yeah.
Right. So Aka 13 is a very slow moving plot, but they have 13 episodes. And so the premise of that plot is that the main character is moving around to all of the different districts that make up this country, and the subplot is that there's going to be a rebellion, and it's not clear whether the main character is investigating that rebellion, trying to stop it, or is a person who's a catalyst, a revolutionary who's actually trying to make it happen.
Weren't they like old royals or something?
Yeah, you find out by the end. Yeah, you find out by the end that it's a little of both. And his sister are their royalty. But the point is that they only have 13 episodes to take you through all of these very different societies that make up this, very diverse world that they live in. And so even though the plot is slow and the music is kind of meandering and you do a lot of like literal sightseeing, every episode kind of ties together a whole bunch of little plots and subplots and travels the viewer through these different places so that when you get to the end and you sort of have a resolution to that question that you have, you felt like you went on a journey. You felt like you saw sights and you got to know lots of different people and whatever. Vivi needed to be that. It needed to be less consumed with like the emotional drama of these like drawn out introductions to what turned out to be a very tiny set of characters, and needed to be much more like a sightseeing trip through time and through the world of these AI with lots of little moments and maybe a couple of big ones. So maybe instead of 3 episode arcs, you do, 3 episodes, and then at the end you kind of realize that they're tied together maybe through one, of the sister series, which by the way, that wound up being irrelevant. That like we kept getting introduced all these different like her sisters, and they were all so important to every plot. But then we get to the end, and it's like no one talked about that. It was just like, oh, these are people I remember. It's like wasted time, wasted threads. And I have one other thing to say, but I want to shut up and not rant.
I feel like you said everything. Or you within your like analysis, you basically like hit my stuff on the head, or you kind of hit the nail on the head for the whole thing. To be honest, like it just But I said it in my own like wrap up video that it's not that I did not enjoy the series. I just enjoyed the journey more than the finale. So like I still really enjoyed watching it and like going through those arcs, but the ending just wasn't satisfying.
Yeah.
Like in any form or format, in any form or fashion to me. So
right. So the last thing I want to say is about one major plot hole that I would like whoever's listening to this, even if it's one person, if you go on to write a story about technology and time travel or magic or whatever it is, I want you to just pay attention to what I'm going to bring up here. In episode, whatever the second to last one was, the professor pops up. He's like, we can send you back, but we can only do it to the beginning of the robot, apocalypse. And somehow, if you just ignore me and go help the resistance, then you will have a chance to do this all over again, but do it better. There's a big problem with that. So in the last episode, we know that Vivi had enough time to get to where the professor was in order to save him after he sends her back the first time.
Uh-huh.
Right? Which means that all of the technology and all of the equipment necessary to do a time hop were present, available, and active when she saved him the first time. So, that would mean that she would have enough time to get back there, tell him everything that she saw, and then have him send her back again, but before the robot started killing everybody in the streets. Which they didn't do, and they just decided that he was dead, and she also would have saved his own life in the process. So this is a problem with time travel and technology or storytelling elements that allow you to just bend the rules of the world. The logical thing to do in a scenario like that winds up removing all of the drama from the story, and then you have to gone. And then you have to pretend like it's not possible when anyone with half a brain would think through this plan in the first place. Like if you told me that you have a time machine and you can go back in time, but it can only go back in short hops, I'd be like, great, I'll go back once, hop in the next time machine, go back again, and we'll just deal with it that way. Like there was nothing about the setup that said that they needed to start interfering again at the point that they did. Why did, like at first they were like, oh, we'll send you back, that's how much power we have. But then once you're at that point, you can go back again. You can go back into this as many times as you want. Like, it doesn't make any sense. It really does not. I don't like it. It's a tremendous plot hole that only comes when you want to use time travel. So just don't use time travel. Just don't do it. Right? Also, the whole, watching the tower grow, letting them know how good they were doing. Like, they completely ignored that, even though they spent time in a lot of episodes showing us the tower. They should have known that they had fucked up. Vivi should have known that, shit wasn't working. She's just fucking sitting around for 40 years in a goddamn museum trying to remember how to fucking sing, even though it's the only thing she's programmed to do. Get out of here with that. That's just bad writing. And this needed to be a 24-episode, 2-core series. Or it needed to, be more efficient with the storytelling that it was doing. Because now it feels like I wasted a lot of my time. A hell of a lot of my time. And in the last episode, the character who got the most fun shit to do was Beth and not Vivi. That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
And the fact that there's no antagonist throughout the course of the show, big problem. That may be the fundamental failure of that story is that there was no one for her to play off against. Her or could you imagine evil Matsumoto versus Vivi and regular Matsumoto, right? Going back and forth through time, fighting to cause these things to happen. There was no, and in fact, the lack of the antagonist was why
just we had to hearing that makes it sound better automatically.
Well, right. Well, the fact that they didn't have one meant that we had to spend an extra episode every single story to try to set up the bad thing that was going to happen. Even though Matsumoto, his whole job in the story was just to tell the audience, here's the terrible event we're trying to stop. At that point, you could just fast forward to wherever the critical point, the action. Have Vivi come in, either whoop some ass or use talk no jutsu on people, and then just move on. But they just couldn't do it. So I think I've gone off enough on this one. I'm just gonna step back. I don't hate it. I enjoyed the ride. The finale was about as whack as I thought it was gonna be after seeing the last episode where they kind of blew their load and fucked everything up. But you know what? Like, worst or better series have had worse endings.
Mm-hmm.
Looking at you, Attack on Titan. Like, this didn't ruin it for me. It just, like, I knew we weren't going to get anything good after what they decided to do in the second to last episode.
Oh,
Shots fired.
Wow. Oh,
Where's that gun clap?
That stray bullet. Oh. Oh,
everybody
shit.
can get it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. God damn.
Yep.
Okay. Well, James has said all that needs to be said about
I talk too much.
So, what do you want to cover next?
Maybe like a palate cleanser, because I think Back Arrow is like the exact opposite feeling.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, yeah, we can talk about Back Arrow.
Yeah, so Back Arrow also finished this week. I'm not even going to try to recap this finale. All you need to know is that they beat God, sort of, and then they're...
And that we need a second season.
And that we need a second season.
We fucking need it. How you... Oh, okay. This was some weeb shit, and I loved it.
Yes.
I loved every fucking... I loved the group attack with everyone saying one word, and then Fine saying the final fucking word and blowing that nigga out. I loved the return of two of the, like, antagonist characters at the last moment to save her, and them being like, we not really alive. We just here to help your ass.
Bro.
Like, so many cliches, all perfectly acceptable.
It was like, they just said, all right, we got 20 minutes.
We're putting everything we can in.
Yes.
Let's go.
They just put the foot on the gas. We got we got like the giant robot super attack to the counter getting split off into all the other parts to two versions of the power of friendship, but both of them were like completely different from each other. The
talk no jutsu actually worked.
The talk no jutsu actually did work. Really weird sci-fi shit that I'm like, is this some alien stuff? And then tie back to like the real universe. So I don't know if this is like a virtual world or a real world.
Didn't I say last week that it was like kind of like cells at work? And then when they did that pan out, I was like, wait, that actually looks like blood cells and shit.
Yeah.
Like, wait a second.
But then God is actually a baby. But then
which we kind of guessed that.
Yeah, and then so there was some stuff in here that I was just I had to pause and just laugh out loud, and just because these people of like the director and the writers on this episode were fucking smoking crack. I don't know what was going on, but it must have been a great time.
I loved it.
It must have been a wonderful time in that writers' room, because them motherfuckers went all out when they did that first group attack, and the guy's like, wait, God's not giving me power? And then the ghosts show up, and I'm like, wait,
yes,
everybody's back?
Yes!
And the arrow, the fact that it back arrow, right? They have like, they do again, the we're gonna fire ourselves, but then you have like the ghost talking to Rudolph, and they just have like, I am dead. I am now dead, and my power will go to power up the other team. That was just like literally outside of the universe. Like, I was like, I don't know what's happening. This is great.
First of all, we deserve, and we should get a second season, because, first of all, what are they?
I don't even know.
Like, what are they, and how are they taking God back? Because they said Earth in the end. So
yes.
How are they taking God back to Earth? Because if they're part of a system,
I don't know.
Do they I don't think they
ship?
actually.
They now have a ship.
Yeah, they have a whole ship that we don't know. They're in space,
and they are piloting it. Like we saw.
Yeah.
Bit. I don't know.
Yeah, like we need a second season, nigga, because there's no way that trip to Earth is going to be that easy. But then also, it's like, well, like conviction particles don't exist in the real world.
Well, why did humans leave
next? Yeah, what was this epidemic? Can they be affected by the epidemic? What is the system? Are they actually like humanoid beings, or
you can't do
are
this
they
to me.
just computer like?
You can't
data?
do this to me, Back Arrow. You can't do this.
Yeah, we need it.
You can't just leave this here. It's so outrageous. Like,
the moment that the episode ended, I literally was like, I Googled like Back Arrow season 2 announcement because that's what I was expecting. I was expecting after that end scene, after he said Earth, to get that black screen saying season 2 confirmed. And we didn't get it.
I was gonna save this for the end, but like my prediction, this is how we'll know if we're getting a season 2. So when they release the premium Bandai kits for Back Arrow stuff, if they sell well, you will 100% get a season 2. 100%.
Ah, okay.
That will. My strong belief is that will control the future of this series. But even without that, like there was like when they were like, why are these ghosts back? And then they do the flashback to the previous episode. And it's like y'all got so desperate, y'all started like shooting our dead bodies or dead souls back into the world. And I'm like, this is the weirdest. But it once again. It made sense. It made sense.
They were like, you gave us the opportunity for Back Arrow to like help us.
Yeah.
Like
now again, within that, there's a bunch of weird shit that doesn't make sense. Like we still don't know why the Emperor could just become young when he just got high off of all of the rings. Like that nigga.
Well, I feel like that was probably him mastering the conviction particles.
You know what? You're not wrong, but I also think that it was just a way to have there be 2 voice actors, and in the final episode, it was just they could get the voice actor who did him as an old man back for like that one scene when he like, you know, they're riding the arrow of energy and he turns back into the old version. And I'm just like, they just did. And also the evil Fine voice actor, they just wanted to bring him back. Like,
which also, can I say that they really gave everyone their shine? Like, even like the supporting characters.
Every character.
Those generals, even the knights.
Yo, I actually got hyped when the generals started like spinning around. Like,
no, that shit, they animated the shit out of that. It looked really good. And I was like, for a moment, I was like, oh, we must have one more episode because I don't know if they're going to be able to do this.
I did the same thing. I looked at, it was like 21 minutes. Yeah. I was like, there ain't enough time in 3 minutes to explain what the fuck I just watched.
Yeah, man. I was like, there has to be another episode. Like, what? And then once them niggas started spinning and shit, I was like, oh no. I was like,
once them niggas started spinning.
This is the end. Like, them niggas are it was a finale.
Yo.
It was a weeb-tastic fucking finale. I loved every fucking
Wasn't there
moment.
Also a vocal track also that just popped up?
There was that. I didn't even care about the vocal track because like, everything else was so fucking just like chaotic.
Those voice actors were having such a time. Like this whole every one of them was just in their bag. Bit's voice actor, I remember he had like some ridiculous ass lines. The 2 generals were just hamming it the fuck up, like just going crazy.
Prax had her fucking shit.
Oh, that's right. That is correct. Her brother literally remanifested himself in her attack. I was like, yo.
Yes.
What is going on?
And it even caught Rudolph off guard. He was like, how the fuck you niggas doing other niggas' attacks?
Right. It was just, why not? At this point, go for it. So, there was just a lot. There was a hell of a lot here. I don't think we've really talked about like Back Arrow as a character sort of having all of the hero moments that you would expect from like giant robot stuff. They literally
shared it with everybody.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing. Like weirdly enough, he's not a generic lead. He's actually a support character, and for a majority of the show.
I was thinking his mecha was gonna evolve.
No.
And like, yeah, he was gonna do it. Like that nigga stayed the sword.
He just became a bigger sword. That was actually funny because Bit was like, I just wanted to be bigger, and the shit got bigger, and then everything got bigger. I'm like, okay, here we are. Like nothing fucking matters. But it was good. It was good. Wild.
Shubi developed a fucking warp system in what, 2 months?
Why not?
A month?
Why not?
Okay.
Everything after everything else that happened, that was actually the least insane thing.
Well, I got excited near the end when they were doing the talking and they went into God's lair and he was showing them all the shit. And I'm just like, no, this is not how you end.
And yeah, you can't be ending a series by like opening up the universe.
Yes, you open the universe up. Like, it's not like Decadence where it's like, no, niggas, like everyone legit is living happily ever after.
Yeah.
Shit out.
They gave you a hard. This one was like, bro, you thought we were on drugs now. This isn't even a fraction of our power.
Wait till we get back and introduce. And then that was another thing. Then Shubi asked a very good question. Who developed this system?
Right.
Can we meet them? Which is...
I don't know what's going on. Also, you have like the premise of there being like thousands of these other Lins like out
so
there.
That was something else. I forgot to say that too. I was like, so if they're leaving and they're leaving those Lins, that means that the Lins kind of have no more
purpose.
Security.
Yeah, they have no security, no purpose.
So that means that the other Lins can cross over to them niggas.
That's what I'm saying.
Problem, like it can be the war. That could be a whole season episode, the War of the Lins. Or some shit like that.
Anything is possible.
It could be It could be a new IP.
Anything
honestly,
is possible.
It could be a brand new banging ass IP. Give me some video games. Y'all can make a gotcha game. I don't give a fuck.
This is just some wild fucking shit.
But that's the thing, though. That's why I like it so much because they weren't afraid to go there. Yeah. They dug in. They like, if you're gonna jump, nigga, jump. Like, let's do it, and they did it. I'm just happy that it worked. It ended up being a really good fucking show because remember when we first started watching it and you were like, I don't know why, but this is working.
I don't know why. Like, I still can't answer that question.
Yeah, it's fucking working. And it got wilder and wilder and wilder and all those fucking characters were important in one way or another.
Right.
Even that like shiesty ass fucking country that came back.
Yep.
So good.
Yep.
So good.
That's right.
That was a good pick me up. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, they also didn't do the one thing I thought they would do, which is literally bringing everybody back from the dead. I was worried they would do that. They did not. The niggas who died stayed dead.
They stayed dead. Yeah. Well, and they defined that very quickly when Evil Fine was like, "We are only here for a little bit,
right?
To like beat this nigga's ass for revenge."
Right.
So.
Yep.
Yeah, worked out great. Because also, if the brother had come back to life after all this time, it would be
if any of them really had like truly returned. I was worried a little bit when the two ghosts showed up. I'm like, nah, Nick, don't tell me that like they were so powerful that they brought all their conviction particles back.
That basically you can't die if your conviction is strong enough.
Yep, nope. They nipped that one in the bud, and I give them all the credit in the world for like not doing something stupid at the end, which it's funny because we just talked about in Vivi how like there's a point where if your rules of your world allow you to kind of do anything, then there's a way that can get away from you in the story or kind of undermine what's happened. They didn't do that here. They showed restraint and they tried to make sure that it was at least consistent. I can't be mad at that at all. It was a great ending. I want more, and I'm not gonna get it unless those fucking model kits sell like gangbusters. So come on, Japanese model collectors.
If it gets into Super Robot Wars 30, it has a decent chance. But like the difference between like this and Cross Ange is like Cross Ange had an ending, so that's completely understandable that they didn't get a second season.
That is true.
It was like a good like universe. We fought the pseudo god and shit and blah 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 blah. That's understandable. It's over. But this shit, nah, you can't. And then also like, what happens to everyone once the baby leaves?
I don't fucking know. There's a lot that we could.
Or
Mine
is
out of
everyone just simply traveling with, like, are all those niggas still there? They're just I have questions that I would love answers to, and they can't do this to us. They can't do. If Devil is a part-timer can get a second season 8 years later, we can get a second season of Back Arrow.
It's possible. There's a lot of things that are possible, but
we deserve it. And honestly, it needs to fucking happen. I feel like I've said that so many times this episode, y'all. But this shit is so good, y'all. If y'all have been listening to us like discuss it for the past 24 weeks, oh my god.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you haven't got on the fucking train yet, go fucking watch Back Arrow and have a grand fucking. You don't even have to think.
Yes. It's a real turn off your brain, but like even if you turn your brain on, it actually still kind of works, which is impressive. It's very impressive. If you'd asked me last, when this started, months ago, that this would manage to hold itself together over 2 cores.
Yeah, back in January, like, no.
I would have been like, okay, I get that they're very enthusiastic in this show, but like, that's not gonna, nope.
Well, you were the one that told me, because I had stopped watching it for a second, and you were like, are you watching this shit? Because it's doing stuff. And I'm like, no. And then I caught up, and I was like, oh no, this needs to be, I need to be weekly on this bitch.
It was fun. All the way through, it was a lot of fun, and it was a good, like, break from some of the stuff that I was watching that was a little more aggressive or serious or
heavy.
Outrageous. Yeah. So. Okay, so that was good.
And speaking of serious, outrageous shit, 86. So we discussed last week that we needed a fresh roster. I did not expect them to just off the roster that we have completely. I thought Corinna was gonna die this episode. I didn't think
they were kind of setting it up because she was like when they were in that school.
I thought they set it up when she ate that last piece of candy and threw that shit in the air. I was like,
there was a lot of symbolism there.
Yeah, I was like, you're dead. That is a death flag. That's a death flag for you, girl, specifically for you. And I mean. Shin, he was so obvious when he asked Anju to swap, and I'm just like, oh nigga, there's some niggas next to you. Yeah. But then also, did you see that thing? That guy was from a different company, wasn't he? The voice that he heard?
Maybe. I don't know.
Or was that an Albin?
I do not know.
Maybe I need to go back and because that nigga literally was like, I want to kill everybody, women, children. Legion, like everybody gotta die. I don't give a fuck. So I'm like, where were you from? I gotta say though, like the best part, or not the best part, but the part of the episode that was the most like chilling for me though was the Lena shit when she got the cat.
Yeah, I'm a sucker for anything with animals. So
yeah, that shit. I was like, oh, she went to go visit. Oh, she can take care of the cat. But for them to basically say, like leave her their like last wishes and shit like that, and just it was just a really good scene. The music was fucking perfect. It was good, but damn, this show is just so fucking bleak. Like, it's just fucking like what else have I watched that's just been so fucking sad? And I don't think they're doing it like, it doesn't seem like the premise of the show is like you niggas are gonna suffer, so suffer. It just kind of just like ends up that way, like constantly.
Yeah, and I'm not sold that they just killed off the crew or Shin for that matter. I'm not sold on.
Oh,
that.
Really?
Nah,
okay.
Nah.
Well, because when they showed like the headless torso at the end, I was like, did they really kill that nigga?
No,
like,
I don't think so.
Are you serious?
I don't think so.
For real? But then Shin also did say that shit in his letter about like when we meet again. So
the reason isn't necessarily because of anything that's in the story. I have no prior knowledge.
Well, yeah, you said you stopped reading really early.
Well, at the point when I had seen the light novel, the manga adaptation of the light novel, they'd only had like 5 chapters, which so it was like they didn't get into any of it. And I typically won't read like a wiki or anything like that, but it just doesn't. I have a little more faith in this series as far as like if they're going to set up, a relationship or a storyline, that they're probably going to complete it. And I don't think that they completed anything with Shin and Lena's character so far. And there's just kind of an obvious trajectory to go on, which is like they come to their rock bottom moment, and then they're rescued or something like that. Something intervenes, but we get that final scene, which is really more him having a near death experience or like an ego death experience, and not necessarily like literally, because it just
death.
Yeah, like we're too early along, and frankly, our real reason is they haven't really developed any other characters on the Albin side that would be strong enough to really carry the story by themselves.
Yeah, that's what I was confused about. I was like, so we really gonna stay in Alba?
Yeah, I don't think so. I think it was a red herring in the same way that there have been a bunch of sort of post episode or whatever. They kind of they end the episode early in a lot of these, but like I think a lot of these are red herrings. I don't believe that this is kind of where they want to end that, because if you kill him, then there's no 86 story. Really.
Yeah, that's true.
The
the new ones that she saw, they all look super generic.
They don't have names. She wasn't even there for them.
That. Yeah.
She was kind of only even at the front line temporarily. I thought it was cool that we got to learn a little bit more about like the mechanic, whose name I'm now forgetting again, but about his wife and his half 86 kid who both died. And that line he had where he was talking about Shin, I would always ask Shin if he could hear anyone who sounded like my family out there, and he always said no. And he's like, what if he'd said yes? He's like, I would have gone out there to die with him. So then that again, this is the sort of thing where if you see characters who have a relationship with the main character, the idea that you're not gonna close the loop and maybe have them come back or meet each other again or something like that, it feels like a wasted opportunity. And even though this story feels in some parts like it kind of meanders around for no good reason, the one thing that they've done so far is try to pay off relationships. So I think I'm pretty certain that this is a red herring. But if I'm wrong and they've got more guts to fucking kill their main character or one of their what is it, Deuteronomy, whatever the word is for shows with like two leads, they're willing to do that, then they have more balls than Attack on Titan did. And again, I'm shitting on that show. I don't know why. It's not their fault. But you know what I mean?
Did something happen with Attack on Titan?
No,
is this some new news?
No. I think I'm just thinking of storylines where the gimmick is killing off large parts of the cast.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's all it is. Yeah. But you can be teased with the concept that the writing might be brutal enough and bold enough to get you really invested in a character that's a lead or a very strong supporting character, and then just kill them. Like Game of Thrones, actually, to its credit, people are upset about the ending, but that's one of the big reasons why people enjoyed the series, is that George R. R. Martin was not afraid to
murk niggas,
to take people out.
Yeah.
That red wedding shit got people real good because they didn't see it coming.
And then the purple wedding.
Well, every wedding. all these weddings. But that's my point, is that, I don't think that this story is really about killing off all of the characters. I think that's a device in the beginning in order to set up sort of the brutality of what's going on. But I will say this, we still don't actually have a plot right now, which is a little concerning to me. Like, there isn't a direction that I see that they really need to go or have indicated that they want to go with with all of these characters. Like, what's the point? I was kind of
the only thing that I even know of or that stood out to me was when Shin was telling them head in this direction. You're not that far away where you won't be able to hear the Legion voices anymore.
Yeah.
That was the only thing that stood out to me as basically being a next goal. But
so this
no
is
Legion, no story.
This is like Promised Neverland in season 1. Remember that premise was that there's a place for us that's away from the demons that's beyond the wall. So the whole story is about like planning to leave, how do we get out of here, overcoming the challenges, and then you get out into the wider world and you find out that, oh, well, actually, it's still dangerous and maybe what we had assumed was true wasn't true anymore. But the point is, you introduce a device like that to give your characters a goal. Presumably, we are shown in this episode that they're not, air quotes, not going to make it, and they do a little fake out with, I'm saying this now, but I mean, I'll eat my words if Shin is dead, but what appears to be a fake out right before they get to that goal. But beyond that, no character has expressed anything that they intend to do once they get there. It's really more of like, let's just escape and run away. I was cool with that.
Is it probably still because they like have just like their mortality is inevitable regardless?
Yeah,
so
no.
Really
that made them. That this is the interesting thing. This is what I'm trying to drive at is at the if we live inside the world and the viewpoint of these characters, what they're doing makes perfect sense, right? They're all pretty much resigned to die. They've watched all their friends die. They're very fatalists, and they kind of know what the end point and outcome is. And also, they're running out of supplies. They're running out of gas. They're surrounded by enemies. It's perfectly reasonable for them to be like, this utopian place that's out there somewhere where we can be safe is just a dream, and then we're going to die in this horrible manner, whatever. And have no goal. No, they're not planning for the future. I'm totally fine with that. No issue. I'm talking about the 1,000-foot view of us as the watchers of the story. It's fine if our characters believe that, but the audience kind of needs a breadcrumb, something to hope for to continue the story. Because this is the 2 core. So if this is just like 24 or 23 episodes of just like watching people die, and then at the end it's like, and everyone loses, then like I won't waste my time with it because I want to have the catharsis. And so far there's no promise of any catharsis. So we'll see.
Mm-hmm.
But that Lena stuff was good, and the music was very good.
Oh yeah, Lena's in full bad bitch mode.
Damn right, I was waiting for this.
When she basically was like, "Yeah, I'm on house arrest," so I came out here. I was like, "Wait, wait a second."
That's some fucking gangster shit right there. It's like
because she knows they're not gonna do anything.
Right, exactly. It's like, isn't that a ankle collar? You're like, I'm out. The streets is hot. You're like, oh, okay. Well, do your thing, bro. So, yeah.
Okay. And last but not least, Tokyo Revengers. So what the fuck? I did not see this coming.
It ain't over.
No. I honestly was speechless at the end of the episode. I was like, wait, we already reached the goal? Like,
first of all, them niggas said in the beginning, this ain't over. They were like, ain't no Mobius. Valhalla, bitches.
Oh my god. Yeah, first of all, the Valhalla shit, I was like, that's not good.
No.
That's not fucking good.
Very much not good.
Like, absolutely not good. But then also Mikey, like, basically being like, who are you, nigga?
He's like, bitch, I'm G'd up from the feet up. What you think?
Mikey literally is like, listen, I be beating niggas' asses, but I be thinking too. And shit not adding up with your ass. How the fuck you always around for this like real shit?
It's like, I seen you before. What the fuck is this?
But now I just have a million things running through my head now because so Homeboy's alive in the future and he's a hairdresser in training. But now I'm thinking, how the fuck did you keep that job and what is your relation to Tokyo Manji Gang in the future? And also, just because those other niggas are alive doesn't mean that everybody's alive.
No, it
that you
doesn't
got
mean
close
it.
to.
Don't mean shit.
Like now, I'm like, first of all, I know it's not over. I know that for a fucking fact. But also now I'm kind of looking at Hina sideways, where I'm like, now hold on, girl. You sure you ain't got shit to do with this? Like, wait a second, because some of the faces that she made during this episode, I was like, you're not distraught enough for me. Like, something's off. But okay, listen, kudos to them. I did not see this. I thought he was gonna go back and he was gonna be in the middle of some bullshit because he was gonna be part of the gang.
Do you know how whack it would be if he was like, I win, I'm gonna go back, and then he comes back and he's getting his ass whooped somewhere?
Yes. Like, I honestly thought that was what was gonna happen, because I was like, well, now you're part of the gang, so you're probably like between what was it, 12 years?
Yeah.
I was like, in that 12 years time, you probably done got into some shit with them, so it would make sense for you to jump back forward.
If I was that man and I knew, given that I was doing past life shit or whatever it was, that like I could be zapped back into the future, I would never drive a car. I would never do anything where if I'm like disoriented for 1 second, my ass is over. Like, why you always take an Uber?
Oh my God, on the freeway, you come back and you just jerk.
No, I'm not riding no bikes, no motorcycles, no nothing.
Ugh.
He's like, my dream is to be an airline pilot. Nope, not no more.
I'm looking forward to it. Like, I'm very much so looking forward to it. Like,
it was kind of a reprieve episode because, like, even though it did start with still a lot of ominous bullshit, like, you did spend the middle part of the episode with everyone kind of getting good news. Like, oh, Drake is not dead, even though he almost died. Which,
by the way, I'm just like, that was so back and forthy where I was like, nigga, just die, like, let him fail. I don't care.
Did you want him to die?
I expected him to die because after last episode, and I was like, okay, so these things are gonna be fine. They were gonna be okay, and then it's the moment that he reached out his hand and like said that shit, I was like, okay, so maybe he is gonna die. Like, you know what? At this point, just kill him. Just kill him. Like,
just kill him.
Just kill him, because at least Takemichi was there to, like, I guess, support. Well, no, it wouldn't have mattered if he was there to support Mikey, because Mikey still broke down. He was just keeping his composure in front of everybody else, which I knew that nigga went away to go cry. I was like, nah, your emotions aren't all just like, you know, bulletproof.
Right.
So
I like Takemichi's look sort of at the end, though, where he's like really ganged up. He's got his hair gelled. He's got his jacket.
Oh, I thought he looked so tacky.
But it was like, what, the 90s or the 80s, whatever that's supposed to take place.
Oh, yeah, actually, yeah.
I appreciate it just because, like, now he's really a part of this little middle school gang. You can imagine if you were a kid thinking that was the coolest thing you ever saw. What they call them, like, Buso Jutsu. What's the name of those, like, Japanese biker gangs? What are they called? I don't remember. There's a word for it. But, like,
I have no idea.
Yeah, like the where they drive around in those, like, ridiculous, like, extendo fucking motorcycles. Oh man, I can't remember the name off the top of my head, but like he was starting to look like a little junior version of that, which I appreciate. He got a little bit of like late '80s swag, whatever that is. We can talk about the end though. I'm not disagreeing with you. It was tacky. But then we had like the flash forward scenes, which I thought were interesting. Like he was like, "Oh, everything's great." Then he gets like a phone call, and then I'm sure that was meant to make the audience go, "Oh, hell no!" This shit.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. First, I didn't know if Naoto was gonna even like associate or remember him.
Right.
But they cleared that up very fast. So I was like, all right, that's cool. Like whatever. But
I mean, I think like in general,
it's not gonna be good.
Yeah, I think in general, like the future or present stuff is, as far as like mechanics of the story, is like the weakest part, only because there's so much that no character would ever be able to explain, right? Like, yeah, there's no way Takemichi's gonna, well, this is how the magic works. He's not gonna know. Naoto, his explanation was he figured it out through induction, because he's like an inference, because he's a fucking genius. But like, you know, beyond that, it makes you wonder sometimes, like, okay, in that period going forward, if Takemichi's not literally piloting his own body, what the fuck are these niggas doing? They're just waiting around. But they've decided that in this show, there's only a single timeline. It's not branching. It's not nothing. So, like, it's just a one-to-one kind of thing. And I talked a little bit about this when we were going over the Vivi stuff, but because they keep it simple, you don't need to really wrap your brain around any kind of like inter-timeline shenanigans. Like, they do something and it has effects and that's it, right?
Yeah.
There's no paradox stuff to worry about. They kind of overwrite the worry about, like, when he's sort of laid up in the future, just like living his life in the past, like what's going on with his body. They just kind of like have very simple answers. If you don't like those answers or you don't think they're adequate, fuck off, because they're not going to give you any more information, and it's fine. So we're at, I think, a nice little inflection point in the story where things look better, but we know better than to believe that.
Yeah, agreed.
We chilling. So that was pretty much it for the week.
Yeah, I think, I think only there's going to be the special episode of 86 and then Tokyo Revengers next week. Yeah,
it's going to be interesting. I don't know what special episode means. I don't know if that means it's non-canon not to the show, but to the light novel, or are they animating something that's maybe more of a side story that was included, or I have no idea. I probably should look into that prior to watching, only because
I'm sure someone on my channel is going to comment and basically be like, "This was all original."
Right. I don't know. We shall see. Also, the word I was looking for was Bosozoku. I was like, I don't know why I said Busozuka, but yeah, that's like Japanese biker gangs. If you ever listen to people, want to see people do some tacky shit with like motorcycles, just look that up. Like, these motherfuckers are, you ever know like those like Mexican mariachi like players where they have those extendo shoes that just like stick out like an extra foot. Just imagine that kind of a design, but stuck onto a motorcycle. That's all I'm gonna say. I don't want to call it tacky because it's another culture, but it's deliberately designed to look fucking ridiculous.
To intimidate.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. All right. So now it's time to get to the meat of the episode, you guys.
A very meaty episode.
So, since it's Father's Day, the day that we're recording this, so we thought we would, we just talk about some anime dads and give opinions on them.
Rate your dad.
I'm going to rate mine based off of if I'm going to call CPS on the dad or not.
Oh shit.
So that's just me though. I don't know how you rating yours. Are you doing it on a scale, or are you just saying this nigga ain't shit? Like, I don't.
I'm gonna try to take a holistic view of their presence in the lives of their children.
Oh God. Okay.
Which is to say, 90% of them ain't got one.
Yeah. So, let's start with an old school dad. Dragon from One Piece.
Oh man, I'll let you have this. Go for it.
I don't know. I'm not gonna call Child Protective Services because he gave him to the grandfather to raise.
This is true.
So it's not like he was, just abandoned as a child. Like, he had a household. So I'm not absolutely positive. I would not call Child Protective Services on him. But I'm also not caught up with the manga. So
it don't make no fucking difference. No.
Okay, no, there's no difference?
No.
Okay.
Not at all. Like, on the scale of anime dads, I would say, like, he's probably, oh man, wait, well, I don't want to compare to anyone yet, but there are things that he did do, and there's things that he didn't do that, if you really add up, it's not like the worst. Like, he's a bad person, but he also like pieced out on his son early enough that he would never really imprinted any of that horribleness onto him. So I guess in a way, him abandoning his child is the best gift he could ever have given him. So that's one way to think about it. But he's also like completely non-present in his life, and this is a pretty brutal fucking world that he left his child into, his only child, and it just or not. Well, yeah, technically yes, it's his only child. So like I'm not down for abandonment. So he's gonna go in whatever the garbage pile is, but it's also because he's a bad person. Like this wasn't just like I'm doing this for your own good. I don't think he ever had any intention of raising that child. That's why he handed him right over to Garp, and then Garp kind of was like, "I'm also out of here. I got a job, motherfucker. Goodbye." So Luffy is the son that all these deadbeat dads wish they had, because he doesn't blame his father for anything, and he's a G.
Yeah, that's true.
That's not how real life works, though. Niggas
Absolutely
is sad.
Fucking
Niggas
true.
is sad out here with all these they take their abandonment issues out on the streets, and that's why we have such a horrible world.
Oh my god, you not lying.
So yeah, poor dragon, but he's not a good dad. Nope, get him out of here.
Okay. Okay, now well, you go next.
Well, I mean, I think I listed it in the opening, but Bright Noah from Gundam.
Okay, so it's Hathaway's dad, right?
That is correct. He is the father of Hathaway Noah. But
I don't know how or he has been to Hathaway, so you're gonna have to.
So it's interesting because you get little glimpses of what his home life is and what his attitude is. So let's start at the top. That Bright Noah is a very good, upstanding human being. He believes in order and justice, but he's also like not insanely attached to those ideals. So like he's a good role model as far as his beliefs to a child. And it appears as if, even though he was often away fighting, that he did have a connection with his family, with his wife, with his son. However, I think that now I've read the Bell Torchica's Children, and I also know the ending of the Hathaway's Flash story, and so I don't want to spoil it, especially given that the movie is about to drop very soon. But I will say that what Bright Noah gets put through as a father and what he ultimately has to decide to do is legitimately kind of gut-wrenching, and that's because he is you get the feeling that he is a good father and he's conflicted, but he's not perfect, and it's tough. But as the movie will lay out, there are ways in which he gets estranged from his son, and it kind of tells a story about what we all kind of go through, which is when you and your parents don't see eye to eye politically or ideologically. Obviously this is like over the top. This is a world with fucking Jedi robot pilots. So like, we're not gonna claim realism as far as like the stress that's here. But I think that Bright Noah actually goes in the good dad category, but good dad with the caveat of all those like military fathers who are kind of like half not around. Like he does his best, but he ain't winning.
Extremely,
but he ain't winning no goddamn gold stars.
Okay, so will he go in between the piles?
No, he's in the good pile because he's genuinely a good person, and then as a father, he tries. But sometimes you can try
I would
and
not
it don't
call
work.
CPS on him.
No, he doesn't get CPS. No.
Okay.
Well, actually, I do want to put a caveat. Even though he doesn't endanger his own son, if you go by the original Gundam, he has no problem endangering other people's children. No, putting other people's children at risk.
Oh, okay.
Because Amuro Ray is like, what, 15, 16 years old?
Yeah.
Yeah, and all those kids who are literally on his ship. So actually, he does get CPS, but not for his own kid.
But not for his... Okay.
There's fucking foster children that he's like molding into child soldiers.
You are not my DNA. So
no,
about
get out. Get on that gun turret. Get in that robot, Shinji.
Okay. So for my next person, I'm trying to not make it so fucking obvious. So Ichiro Yagami.
Oh.
So I would not call Child Protective Services on him. But
Really?
also, nigga,
Really?
like, did you, well, I wouldn't call Child Protective Service. I would call the FBI or the CIA.
Yeah, you call the FBI.
Yeah.
Yes.
The Child Protective Services is like, whatever. But like, nigga, you know damn well you were catching on to your son. He know damn well. And if y'all don't know what we're talking about, I'm talking about Death
Note.
So, like,
nigga light.
Come on. There's no way that nigga.
But that was like later. If you just go by, when because there's a point in Death Note where like Light is definitely involved as like not even as like the villain, but like he's involved in all these investigations and stuff.
Yeah.
Like I don't. Everything after that point, I'm like, well, this isn't really the relationship as father and son. It's really like co-workers. They're part of a cat and mouse. Like I don't hold his dad as like responsible for some of the lapses in judgment, because remember, Light was getting over on everybody, including like other legit geniuses. So that's not on Light's dad. And also from the course of the story, it didn't sound like he'd ever like done anything to mistreat or not encourage his son. His son just had a fucking twisted sense of morality, and he didn't come from the dad. So yeah, no
that's
CPS.
True.
No CPS.
That's
for him
true.
On my scale, but
yeah, no CPS. Okay, yeah.
I think he's a good dad. He was a good guy.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, overall, I think he was a good dad for sure, but questionable decisions sometimes.
A lot of questionable decisions.
All right, who you got?
I want positivity, so I'm just gonna go with Vegeta. Okay, this is something in my opinion. This is one of those things. It's a meme on the internet now. But when I was growing up, obviously, like, the way you thought about DBZ characters was, like, who was the coolest, who was the strongest. And you can admit that in the beginning, Vegeta was, like, a raving lunatic. And he was never really all that sane to begin with. Like, this guy is, like, even for the world they live in, he was a mass murderer. He was a genocidal, authoritarian tyrant. But then when you look at him as a father, outside of like a couple of times when he was like, oh, I wish like Trunks would like toughen up, like he turned into a real goddamn softie, and frankly, a much more responsible parent and
father,
and more than that, and partner to his wife than Goku ever could be.
Yeah, and well, his wife is Bulma, so she wasn't gonna put up with that shit anyway.
Well, Chi-Chi was also fucking out of her mind, like dominating. But it's just that like they work better as a team.
They do. Yeah.
They work so much better, and you just see it over the course of the series, where it's like maybe it's just they wanted to pivot hard enough away from what Vegeta's character was in like the original Dragon Ball Z chapters of just this flat, angry piece of shit who just looked down on everyone to give him more dimension. But the funny thing is that when they did that and they made him a dad, the contrast between him and Goku was like one of the... First of all, Vegeta cares so much more about the safety of his children than like anybody in the series. Like literally, even Piccolo, who's like Gohan's actual father,
surrogate dad. Yeah, okay,
right. Vegeta.
We can do a whole episode on these niggas in Dragon Ball.
Like, if I wish I could find like a supercut, but there's all these times when Vegeta's like when Trunks comes back and he realizes that that's his son, even though he knows that like he's a full grown man. He doesn't have any like relationship with this person because he's never met them before. Just the idea that his son exists is powerful, and is under duress and is trying hard to like win. He turns into like full on supportive father, taking bullets for his son. I mean, like he's doing it all. Right, Goku
training with that nigga.
Right, Goku's reaction to his own child is like, "Don't worry, Gohan. Just get your ass whipped. I'm not going to help you, but you'll get stronger." Like, what a horrible, horrible father. So, like, I think that Vegeta goes in the good pile, even though morally he might be one of the most like awful, reprehensible people we'll talk on the list. Like, anytime you have like a body count behind you that it includes entire planets, like You know what I'm saying? Like you shouldn't be on that positive scale, but that's where he's at. I gotta give Vegeta the W as a dad.
Vegeta doesn't disappear for months at a time / years just to train.
No.
That nigga is there to raise his children.
Also, he dotes on his daughter.
Yes, he does. He loves her so much.
It is fucking nuts.
Actually, I think they expounded upon like his like father shit in Super.
Yes, that is
like,
true.
Way more.
He is just fucking chilling. Like
he's like when Homegirl was born, he was like in the background looking over niggas' shoulders, like, why you holding her like that? Like, What are you doing? Like, I was like, this nigga is about his children. And he spoils the shit out of her in the future, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Was he spoiling her in like GT or something?
In GT, the Bulla is just like a fashionista teenage girl.
Yeah.
But he's getting dragged to go shopping with her, like all this shit. Like he's just completely smitten, and like all the women in that family are just running shit.
Yes. But also Trunks is pretty well fucking adjusted.
That's also true, yeah.
For having a father like that. But also, I mean, yeah, Vegeta actually is like, he's fathering him, which in a way that I would think that like Vegeta would father. Like he's definitely hard on him sometimes, but he love that little nigga.
He does. So yeah, I gotta not only give Vegeta the dub in DBZ, he's just an all around solid father. And yes, he's present. He's very present.
Yes. I agree. He deserves.
Yeah.
We'll come back to that other broke nigga later.
Oh shit. Yeah.
Okay. So. Oh shit! Wait, who the fuck is this nigga? Oh no. So. Since you actually just watched this series, what do you think of Thor's? Snorson.
Thor's is very interesting. So, and I've read Vinland Saga up until I'm maybe off by about a year, but I know where they got. So Thor's is not really in the story.
Yeah, he's not really in the story, but for what they gave us,
right? But one of the interesting things about Vinland Saga is that the teachings of Thor's to Thorfinn is so critical to almost every stage of his son's development. And in the good way. Like I don't want to give away what the plot is after the parts that are covered by the anime, but the person who Thorfinn develops into as an adult is so deeply imprinted by the lessons, the words, and the life and death of his father as a good role model. Like perhaps I won't say a perfect man, because that's not what he was trying to be. But
yeah.
But the very idea. So Thor's vision was one that was in direct contrast to the world that Thorfinn and all the characters in Vinland Saga grow up in and kind of accept to be true. Things about like might making right and everything else. And what I think the primary teaching of Thor's was that the greatest warrior is the one that doesn't need to use his strength. And it's not even like, the kind of back-asswards way they do it in DBZ of all places, where it's like, very based on that Eastern tradition of balance and harmony. It's not really about that. Thor's whole idea is to create a peaceful world of strong people, and the key word being peace. So yeah. I give Thor's a lot of, even though he's not in the story for there's a couple of flashbacks here and there where you kind of see Thorfinn growing up, and he had a very idyllic childhood, and Thor's absolutely cared for his son, his wife, like all the people who are around. Great role model. Still a Viking. Still got out there and got busy. But
murdered,
but that, I would say is more a function of the world that he lived in and not necessarily like a moral judgment of who he was. I think what he believed in and how he passed that on to his descendants, as presented in the story, A+. I would give him, like, he'd be at the top of my list of good parents.
Okay. I mean, yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
Okay. Wow, that's easy.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't just pick like shits. I was looking for
you got
like well-rounded.
Those are some good ones. Also. So I'm gonna throw one at you with Van Hohenheim from Full Metal Alchemist.
Oh, I got this nigga too. CPS immediately.
CPS.
Immediately.
Yeah.
I don't give a fuck about who you were or are in the universe, in time, in the world, on the God's plane. You stuck your dick in somebody and disappeared twice.
That's the crazy part.
Twice.
That is the crazy part right there.
Like, I think, did they ever even see him? They never saw him until they were
the very
age
end
of the series.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, they run it, yes, basically.
Yeah. They knew his name, but yeah. Nah. CPS, nigga. CPS.
Yeah,
I know you're important to this, or I know he was important to the story and shit like that, but it does not hide the fact that, like, if your ass was around, first of all, she probably wouldn't have died because of just like who you are and what you're capable of.
Right.
But second of all, you could have been there and gone into the shed and be like, what you little niggas doing in here? Get your asses in the house. Like, what the fuck? Like, no.
Literally done anything is what you're saying.
Like, anything.
Literally done a single act as a father.
What do you think of him?
I think that he is one of the worst fathers because, and again, this is more like my experience watching Brotherhood, which is that like I saw the original Fullmetal Alchemist, so you know the whole instigating story of like the trauma of the Elric brothers is more or less kicked off by the abandonment of their mother. So
yes,
so like for something that's so like formative to the development of the main characters of the show, to have it start off with like this irresponsible, shitty event that isn't ever really explained, like, well, and then to have the guy show up later and be like trying to do something, I'm like, get this nigga off my screen.
After what? How old are them niggas? They're in their teens.
They're in their minimally. Get this nigga off my screen.
Just.
And then when he was like battling,
I can't even call him human trash.
Right,
just trash.
And then he's like, you know, trying to like fight, you know, the homunculi and redeem himself somehow. I don't even care about any of that shit, bro. You could have caught the hot ones real early and just died off screen and then never tell the main characters. It would have been fine. Like, no, just a
yeah.
Like, is he an evil person? No.
No.
Is he like? But he's like amoral.
But does he care?
No, that's the thing. He's just an amoral dude, like someone who is obsessed with his own shit and didn't care about anybody else. But also, like, you know, he wasn't out there to ruin things. He was just not a good dad. So
he was just floating around. But I mean, if he was so fucking amoral, why you had to get your dick wet, nigga? Like, damn.
Listen, you can't. There's a lot of lonely nights. You can't like. I guess they hadn't invented like they couldn't create like a fleshlight or something. Like, nah. But in
that age.
But that show has a lot of like bad parents. I feel like bad parents are kind of or parent trauma is a more or less like on all sides, because even the homunculi are like that, right? Like how they're created usually comes out of a traumatic situation. They are literally children, right? A lot of them, even though some of them are really old, like yeah, like so it's all over that show. So I mean, that's intentional. That's not whatever. Bad guy. Yeah. I'm not a
fan. Okay. So oh shit. Well, I was gonna this might be the one. Actually, I'll do someone who's mid. Isshin Kurosaki.
Oh. Okay.
I wouldn't call actually
he's around.
I would call them for a check-in. Simply because your child is running around these streets.
He is running the streets.
Fucking like 3-4 a.m. in the morning fighting.
But
like
he's a teenage boy.
And also, how long was he gone during the fucking second arc?
Well, okay. That's I don't know about the like they kind of like, don't they in like the third or fourth arc, like when they finally decide to introduce him as like a Shinigami, don't they kind of like retcon a lot of his behavior like early as saying like out there protecting. I was also doing because he's also a substitute Shinigami. Like I seem to recall that when I was reading the manga that they tried to basically reverse insert a lot of like explanation for like what he's been up to because without that it kind of doesn't make any sense at all. Like this guy is like super fucking powerful, and meanwhile his daughters are getting like kidnapped by spirits and shit, and he's not really around. Like that I think they tried to make some sense of that. But as far as like his character goes, just in the world, he has, even though he's portrayed as kind of a doofus, he dotes on his daughters.
He's
never,
there.
Yep, he's never seen mistreating anybody. When a horrible thing happened to his wife, he did do his best and step up as a single father. He has a really good job, even though in the world of Bleach, like I don't know too many doctors who just kind of live in let me rephrase that. In IRL, I don't know if they'd be living as hand to mouth as they kind of made it seem like, because his father's a legit doctor, and he also has superpowers. So I feel like he could have provided a slightly better life than the one he did for his kids. But he never was
maybe
like
he
a
can't work
dad.
as much because he out there he gotta fucking do the Shinigami shit too often.
That's possible. I'm not throwing that out there. I'm just saying, like, if they had to, like when you're like writing up your ideas for a character and you're like, oh, well, this person's going to be like a police officer. This person's going to work in an office. This one's a doctor. That was not the lifestyle of what I know doctors to live. Also, that would have meant that he went to medical school, which ain't easy. Anyway, like there's just a lot of stuff. You just like it's like you're playing an MMO and it's like, oh, my class is nigga. That gives you a whole ass history. But whatever. That has nothing to do with him as a father. Maybe he's bad with money, so he's not going to get like the top marks in my list. But he's a good guy, so
I think he's a good dad.
Yeah, he's definitely a good dad. I'll tell you who ain't a good dad though. Fucking Jing Freaks.
Oh, I was saving that nigga.
Oh, you don't need to save nothing for that man.
Absolute filth.
He's
filth.
I don't even know where to begin with him. Nigga,
the conversation on the top of the tree, I was like, so you're not even gonna apologize?
What a worthless man.
You literally told this fucking child that, yeah, bro, like I had you, but like traveling was just like, and figuring out the world is just so much more important to me.
Could you imagine you're running into your deadbeat father you've been trying to track down your entire life up to that point and have him tell you that traveling around and thinking about the world was more important than being your father. And
you're not even fucking fully grown yet.
And just saying that shit with a straight face, especially after he made like a murder gauntlet for his own child. He's like, oh, it's for growth. I remember when I got to the end of Greed Island and I was reading, and I'm like, Jing Freaks is so lucky that Gon is his son and not literally anybody else. Because when they get the beach card, when they like finally defeat I'm forgetting Laser, is that what his name was? I forgot the volleyball game, and then Gon, when he's like figuring out, okay, which cards do I keep, and you have that thing where he's like, oh, what I wanted you to experience was like the joy of whatever, and I'm like, let's recap what happened in your fucking. First of all, the number of people who died, before your son ever fucking showed up. Like, you create a murder gauntlet that killed probably thousands of people. Just for the entertainment of you and some of your homies, right? That's number one. Number two, you planned in advance to have a murderous, psychopathic killer stay on this island for the sole purpose of one day running into your son and maybe, if your son's not completely worthless, not killing him. Okay. Really?
It's like the nigga wanted the problem to solve itself.
Why? If he wanted his son dead, he should have just gone right back to Whale Island and murdered that nigga when he was 3.
He could have dropped that nigga off the boat on the way to Whale Island. To be honest, like, if that's how we really talking, that nigga does not want that child.
No, and then the nerve of him at the end of it all, when his son is like in a fucking coma and all he wants to do is meet his dad, they finally like have a talk. He gets punched out by his son's friends. And he's like, huh, I like that guy, but doesn't actually reconcile with his son. It's so fucking stupid. I hate that man. I hate him. He's not like the worst.
He deserves the hate.
Yeah, there are a couple dads who are like far like who are gonna go in my mind below him, but that's only it's only because of like the extremity of their misdeeds. Like Jing's problem is that because he's so selfish, he doesn't even take his own abandonment of his son seriously. He doesn't care, right? He's not me. He's not like, oh, I beat this nigga every day. Like there's some dads that did some heinous ass shit that just by definition they gotta go lower. But like, man, fuck Jing. Fuck him.
Fuck Jing freaks. Okay. Yes. I was saving that nigga for like near the end or some shit because I was like, he deserves like bottom tier bottom.
Oh, he's not
but
the
there
worst,
are people
though.
There are people oh yeah, well I feel like everyone knows who the worst one is. But, let's talk about Byakuya Ishigami. What?
I'll let you go.
Wait,
I'll let you go.
You don't fuck with Senku's adopted father?
He doesn't like do anything.
Oh. Oh, damn. Well, I fucked with him. He tried to help his son. He went back to Earth to try to help his son, left his son.
It's very touching. No, it's a touching story.
He took care of that little nigga.
I got to that point when I was reading the manga where it's like he realizes that like all of this was like a message from his dad. And I'm like, that's cool. I felt like up to that point, though, I didn't know who his dad was. Like, yes, isn't there like a whole like side story where like you find out about all of his like life back on Earth, sort of setting things up? Like I think they announced that while the first season was airing. Yeah, like
I
think when I'm making that noise, I wasn't making it like I think he's a bad guy at all. I think he's a very, very good person. Like you would get an A+ on every like positive trait that you could have, and he never mistreated his son at all. I just felt like I don't know enough about when they were together. Like, what was that? Like, it's not that it's bad. It sounds like it was great, and that he cared a lot about his kid. But like, I just don't know enough about them together to be like, oh, compared to some of these other people who are on the list, he's like the gold standard, or he's kind of meh. Like, I reserve a lot of judgment. I just think he's a very good person.
Well, I don't know. I thought that was going to be like a unanimous yes.
It is a yes. Not. No, it's not a no. I'm just saying there might be a couple of people.
Let me reword that. An enthusiastic yes.
Okay, all right. Well, I will say I am enthusiastic to say he's a very good guy, and what I know about him and his relationship with the son, very positive. So he would go high on my list, but he's not going to go like to the top of it because there are some characters that you just spend a lot of time with them together as a family, and I haven't read that stuff or I missed that, but if it's good, then I co-sign it.
Okay. Well, that's all.
Oh man,
you're absolutely right. Like we don't know much about him, and also I don't read the manga, so I don't know if he really even comes back up again after what was covered within the anime. So like, I just really thought that he was a good dad.
Yeah, he's good. He would like all the people we've talked about. Like we've definitely covered like some of the worst of the worst, and they're so bad that the extremeness of their badness puts them like at the bottom of a lot of scales. Whereas like the good ones are really good, but like a lot of them are good because they're just good people, right? Or that unfortunately you don't get to spend as much time with them doing good stuff because like I don't know. Writers think it's boring to just have like a good family. I don't know. I don't know what's wrong with people. But like, yeah, it's always like when I was thinking of people to put on my list and I was trying to like find people I thought were really good father figures. The problem I kept running into is that they never got a lot of time to just be dads. And you'll know this from the person I'm gonna pick next as well because
Uh-oh.
it's in a good way, but like the same issue, which is Joichiro Yukihara from Food Wars.
Oh boy,
It's an interesting one, right? Because in the series you get a lot of time showing his relationship with his son, especially when you find out kind of like the backstory of him and his wife, and then she dies, and how he essentially raises him to be a cook, and that now that for those who have at least gotten to the later part of the Food Wars story, you kind of understand that the world that they live in is not a nice place at all. And so for the kind of like morals that Joichiro has are very strong, and what to me would stand out in this world as being like what I would want someone to teach my children. And he definitely was like right there on the same level, eye to eye with his son, all the way up through his like formative years. And then to send him off to Totsuki, I think, is the place where I kind of have where my line comes in, because I'm not sure if a good parent would ever send their child to that school.
To a school like that.
Yeah, and then everything kind of after that is where I think it gets like kind of problematic. But as far as like raising his kid and caring a lot, I think that, you know, for someone who had the same personality traits as Jing, this would have been what you should have done.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I have no problem with his parenting, just like you. But beyond that, it's kind of just like, first of all, you didn't even talk to the nigga to ask him if he wanted to go there.
Right.
You told him he's going there. You disappeared, so you didn't even give that nigga... Well, I mean, he could have just stayed in the fucking house and been like, nigga, I'm going to regular high school. Fuck out of here.
Right.
But he didn't. He, like, you know, he went and, you know, he learned... The thing is, it's shitty for you to have to find out all these things about your parent from someone else that's not your parent.
But and I've had that experience too, and like not a negative way at all.
Yeah.
And like I can completely get on board with that.
And so that's the kind of like the questionable part where it's just like, well, why wouldn't you tell that nigga that, like, you know, you're a world-renowned chef and shit like that? Like, you know, maybe I don't think Soma would have gotten like a big ass head beyond that shit. I just think he would have been like, oh shit, okay, well, my dad is actually really about that business, so we about to compete even more.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like that would have been like Yukihira's, but or Soma's. Ooh, they're both Yukihira. That would have been Soma's fucking response, or that's what I think it would have been. So yeah, him like not telling him all that shit and just.
But also like how insane.
That was kind of weird, but
he knew how crazy the world was. Like Totsuki University, if it was a real place, would be like a psych ward. Like like to send your beautiful
obsessive cooks.
I mean, like, obsessive to the point of, like, wanting to ruin your entire life. Like, yeah, like, that's crazy. I don't know if I could get behind that decision. But, you know, to his credit, he does help. He was helping from the outside and from the inside a lot. So it wasn't like he completely pieced out on his son. But, like, that's a pretty ridiculous situation to just throw your kid into. Or let him go. I don't know. I don't really know which way to put it, because
I think it's definitely a throwing situation where he was like, all right, nigga, like, learn how to swim.
Fair.
That's what I think it was.
I'm with you.
So yeah. I guess my next person is Charles Z. Britannia.
Oh, okay, we going Lelouch. Okay. Fuck that dude. That dude was horrible.
Okay, yeah. Fuck.
He was
nigga.
horrible.
Selfish. He let his children run amok and just fucking
just ruin the whole world.
Ruin the world with their bullshit. Like, horrible fucking dad.
I wish I had like.
And you know what? Throw Lelouch mama in there too.
Oh, both of them.
Bitch, like both of y'all are ass.
It was one of those cases where, like, at some points I felt like the writing was like, how can we make this guy the worst possible? Like, just a complete shitbag. Like, it wasn't just, like, one thing. Like, oh, you know, he chose between power and his own son. Or, like, some poetic kind of story. This guy was just a megalomaniac Definitely a psychopath.
Did not care about Lelouch.
Didn't care about Lelouch, but also like alternated between trying to murder him and then trying to like devise like
win him over.
Yeah, win him over, or devise like just the most mind-bending, physics-shattering torture that he could possibly come up with just to hurt him. Like that to me is just. I mean, I have a name who I think is the worst. So he is not the worst only because like it's a revenge story. So ultimately, like Lelouch's, we center his point of view, and then he kind of deals with his family, and it's the role the father plays is bad, but it's kind of spread out. His anger is spread out between a lot of people. So you get some good bad dad scenes, but he's not the most I don't know, like diabolical person even in the show. It's funny when his father is finally like introduced as a character, we're at the point where Lelouch has a lot of power as well. So there is some kind of like what you see more is like, why did he turn out the way that he turned out? Oh, it was this guy. And I don't like him. So he's deep on the list, but like there are a couple of people who just in terms of feats of bad daddery that were focused on their child are just worse. But he's bad.
I feel like I know who you're talking about.
Well, we'll see.
When you talk about the worst, but we're gonna see.
So I have two more, and I'm gonna go with the lesser of, not even really evils, but just a middle of the road candidate in Joseph Joestar.
Okay, I didn't put him on my list, but because I thought about it, but I was like, I don't know if I would really call CPS on him. I would get the children therapy though.
Right. Yeah, so
I would get them therapy.
So the thing is, the reason why I select him, not just because he's well known and iconic, but he's actually one of my favorite characters. Like all the incarnations of him, and one of the reasons why he is one of my favorites is that he's kind of like all over the place on this list. Like as far as like personality,
every child is treated differently, basically.
Yeah. Not only that's a big part of it. The fact, let's talk about why he has multiple children to treat differently. This nigga been getting around, so like, and it's just very interesting to me that like, so he's one of these characters that you stay with. He's first of all he's a lead for a whole series. So you get to know a lot about him kind of as a young man. And
Thank God he did not fuck his mom.
Oh, please. Listen, it could have happened.
I was worried. I was actually worried
that it could have happened. He was looking, but that didn't happen. So, he's my favorite Joestar because his attitude and the fact that he's kind of like what a Japanese person thinks an American is like. Really makes me laugh. And there's all these like personal moments that have nothing to do with him being a parent, that just like the fact that he's a like the world's biggest troll, that he's just so outspoken and like crazy. I like him as a person. Now what we learned about him as a parent. We know okay, so wait, Holly, is that her name? Yes. So we don't even see Holly's like raising. No, but she loves her dad. Loves her fucking dad. So that would tell you on one hand that like maybe he's a really good right thing. Maybe he's a good dad, right? You know, he was always there. His daughter dotes on him. Like, okay. But then we find out about his other kids. And you're like, oh, so he just pieced the fuck out and knew about it, especially given his like ability, like what his special ability is. Like, you can't pretend like this man didn't know. And that nigga knew he had them kids. Yeah, so I'm gonna lean on the side. If 1 out of 3 of your kids is well taken care of, and the other 2 are, or in general, your other children are not, you are a bad dad. Oh wait, he had 2 other. Wait, well, he had one other. He had one other, and then there's whatever. He had one other. Wait, is that a spoiler? Well, I don't want to talk about it. It depends on what timeline you're in, and stuff happened to Joe Jolie, and that's weird, so we're just not gonna get into that. Oh, okay, yeah, okay, we'll leave that. Yeah, so his other kid that we have met in an anime, Yeah, interesting. What was he doing?
So yeah, I wouldn't call CPS on him, but I definitely would be like, you need therapy, buddy, because not only did the nigga abandon you, but he showed back up in your life, and he's pretty like demented, like, or he has dementia,
or does he? Because they kind of left it open as to whether or not he actually was.
You know what? You're right.
That's
and for the most part. The best way that you get back at the nigga is stealing his wallet at the end.
That was funny, though.
It was funny, but I was like, I kind of need you to like have an actual talk. But this is shonen, like over the top JoJo, so it's like, what the fuck ever. Like, yeah, I'll fucking take it.
So
give me some more. What's Shuichi's shit's name?
The his stand, Reverb Mark III or whatever.
Yeah, give me some more Reverb fucking scenes. Fuck yes.
I like Joseph's catchphrases from his original series,
Stardust Crusade.
Not Stardust Crusade. From
Bloody Stream.
Was it Battle Tendency? Is that the one that he's the lead?
The lead
where he's fighting.
I'm thinking Bloody because of that theme song. Is
I think his was
catchy.
I think it was Battle Tendency. Man, like when he's like finishing people's sentences, he's like the next thing you'll say is, that was my man. He was such a fucking troll. My God. Anyway.
Yeah, Battle Tendency.
Yeah.
Okay, that was a good one. I didn't know if I wanted to do that or not. Okay. Oof. Okay. Sasuke.
Not good. I mean, he doesn't hate his children, so that's a plus. Or his
doesn't hate his children or child.
Yeah.
But also is not there.
Not present.
And actually treats his best friend rival's son better than his own daughter.
That's right. But I will say that he doesn't try to harm his daughter either. It's like neglect. Kind of like where does
he has a history.
Like where does neglect really stand on this? Like this particular.
Well, okay,
issue?
He's a deadbeat dad because he literally just left the girl with the mom and was like, "You good? All right."
He did actually marry Sakura, right? I think.
That don't.
No. I'm just saying, like, if we're gonna add up, like, how bad is it? I'm trying to go down the checklist of like things a bad dad would do. So he didn't just shack up with the mom; he married her. Okay, he committed to that. He doesn't like. He neglects his child. This is obvious. But how outside of the norm is that for the world that they live in? Doesn't seem like it's that far outside the norm, to be honest.
No, because look at Choji. Choji be there for Chocho.
Them fat motherfuckers all hang out together. She says she's a bad bitch.
She's a bad bitch.
There are much better examples of parents in that village, so I don't think he gets a pass. Like, maybe if it was like wartime, like some of the shit, like the bad parenting in that series in general is just outrageous. Gar's dad, what was his name, like Yasa or Nasa or something?
Oh my God!
Yeah, or everything with like Sasori or like all like
Killer Bee's family,
right?
Like
which is also fucking crazy. Like, yeah, the first arc in Naruto is a story about bad parenting. It's like the very first one, all the Zabuza shit. Like that was just bad parenting.
But I have to say that like for Naruto's dad, like it's not their fault. It's actually the third Hokage's fault.
wasn't a shitty person. Like he was there.
The third Hokage now, he needs to get hands.
I wonder if like I don't want to get the way that this
child was treated.
Oh God,
for the majority of this series.
It's unbelievable.
Like they treated the child like a pariah.
Yeah, actually unbelievable.
Like it's pretty fucking bad.
Yeah.
But Sasuke.
He's not the worst. I think
I want
him to be the worst.
CPS on him. I'm just like, damn, nigga.
Can you call CPS on someone who's not there?
That's true.
That's kind of hard. That's that roll safe meme right there. At least,
can you try? Can you try, nigga?
I mean, they imply that like he turns over a new leaf when she's fucking 14. Like,
okay, well, like, also, what about you and this little like clan shit? And she's like, you know, she's gonna be the matriarch of your clan, nigga.
He's got a lot to explain.
Unless he's on some like Nick Cannon shit and is out here just like spreading his seed everywhere.
No, it seems like he kept it in his pants. So again, that's like on the scale of horrible things you can do. I think that he neglected his child, but outside of that, it's probably like about neutral. Not good.
Like maybe he just like, listen, I'm going to be on missions for probably the next like 10, 15 years. So let me give you a baby so you'll have some company.
If that's the case, then we have a different problem. But I don't want to, as much as I want to like shit on him as a character, like he's not, is he the worst? No. Is he any good?
No.
He's no good, but he's not, he's sort of, again, hovering towards like the middle. And it's weird because I would normally not give a lot of points just for marrying the mother of your child. But like in this case, he's doing pretty good. Okay. So I have I said there were 2 left. I meant 2 on the bottom, and I don't know.
Oh shit! Okay.
And I'm not like 100% sold on like who's worse. So I think I'll start that list with the OG bad dad, the one that we all know is fighting for that top spot. Is Gendo Ikari.
Oh shit.
Now, Gendo, listen, there were terrible anime fathers before him, and there have been many since him. But I think that like
this nigga.
Yes, of the trifecta of bad parenting, right? So I look at this on the spectrum, right? You have fathers who hate their children. Okay, and everything that comes along with that, like they want to hurt them, they want to punish them. You have fathers that neglect their children; they don't want nothing to do with them. They just let them suffer out in the world. And then you have like fathers that are very incredibly like self-absorbed and allow all their personal problems to become their kids' problems. Gendo like hits every one of those, and on top of that, he's a megalomaniac. And on top of that, he literally spent his entire life trying to end the human civilization and succeeds. To me, if you want to draw a line to the worst dad ever, what does he do? He abuses his son. He neglects his son. Nonstop. I mean, absolutely. Nonstop. Then manipulates and uses his son. All while
I feel like that's the reason he had the child. To be honest, I mean, it's just to use him.
When I was like getting into anime, like Evangelion was my thing. And it still is. I love it. And I thought it was like cute and funny that like, oh, there's Shinji living with, this hot woman who's like constantly like teasing him. Now as an adult, I'm like, Gendo had his son live with a pedophile. I mean, she comes on to him. That's an adult.
But that's the thing. That man did not care about that.
But that's my point. Like, these are all things that I can't find a analog in almost any other character's background, right? Like, literally, even down to, like, trying to get his son killed, fucking with his son's friends, trying to get them killed or ruin his personal life, his relationships, manipulating him, using him as a weapon and not giving a fuck what happens to his mind, his body, getting him into a weird semi sort of sexual relationship with the reincarnation of his own mother. I mean, having him live with a pedophile, constantly psychologically abusing him. Like, he brings him back after I don't know how many years of them not seeing each other, and the first thing he does is fuck everything up in this man's brain. Literally everything. Shinji literally doesn't know what to do in the first episode. Everyone's yelling at him. He's just like, my life is terrible. Get in the fucking robot. I don't know what's going on. Almost dies. His dad's just like watching, not saying anything. Gendo's like the worst. Like the worst of the worst.
Agreed. So I'm curious to know your other one.
Well, I don't want to spoil the
okay
because you may have
before my final one.
Yeah.
I'll go with my and this is kind of a duo, but I mean everyone talks about these niggas. So actually no, we got to get to the whatever, maybe if there's time later. Whatever. Anyway, Goku. We got to talk about this.
Yeah,
nigga.
Goku, man.
We kind of dipped on him a little bit earlier. But nigga, no, because you already said it. How can you call CPS on the phone?
Someone who's not there.
So we can't even call Child Protective Services on fucking Goku because that nigga's not there. But as far as Gohan and Goten goes, you weren't even there for Goten's birth. That nigga was how old? When you first saw him? How old was he when you first saw that nigga? 7?
Oh, shit. He was shocked.
6?
He showed up and he was actually shocked. He's like, I got another kid? Oh, no. Oh, no.
So there's, like, Goten is just like a whole other... like, nigga, how could you... Whatever. It's Goku. But... in comparison to fucking Vegeta and having these niggas in the same show and this being, I mean, it's not like a primary component or like plot device of the show, but like it's pretty fucking important. And to have this nigga just utterly failing right next to Vegeta being an actual decent fucking father, it's just so, it's so fucking grating to watch. Because he's not even trying. He is actually probably the biggest narcissist I've ever seen.
I mean, it's weird.
He's so fucking absorbed with me, strong, next fight.
It's that really weird how bad he is.
He don't even, he does not even give a fuck about those children. Like, Pan, I feel like he wouldn't have given a fuck about her if she hadn't gotten on that fucking ship with him.
It's like there are things that I think about sometimes about how you can like get around or try to fool people into, you know, not noticing how bad you are as like a parent or as a character. And I think like this is where Goku's such a weird outlier, because number one, he's maybe one of the most popular characters of any series of any franchise ever. I mean, he's certainly in the top 10 of all time.
Like niggas who don't even fuck with anime be like Goku.
Right. I'm talking about like all time ever. So to have someone like that low key also be one of the worst parents and worst role models is a strange situation. It's very strange.
Who the fuck has him as a... Actually, a lot of you niggas have
a lot. I mean, like, there's a lot. The reason why Dragon Ball Z works so well as a show, as a storytelling device, is that it presents a very simple premise of self-improvement and overcoming obstacles in a way that connects with, like, almost everybody who ever sees it. And Goku's the protagonist. He's the one who goes through all of the trials and tribulations for the most part. And so, by definition, I mean, he gets the dub literally and figuratively in a lot of people's heads. But like, we can lay out a bunch of stuff. Does he married his wife? So okay, plus one it is, you know, the mother of his children. He is actually like permanently committed to this person. So theoretically, like that's plus one. But then you go down the list. Okay, for his oldest child, repeatedly tries to get him killed. From the age of like 4 or 5 years old, goes out of his way to expose him to not just danger, but just like world-ending danger. If you even the first time we meet Gohan, Goku is like in a smiling way, just constantly.
He's on his way to train him.
Yeah, he's also because he's constantly like Loki, just calling him a pussy. He's like, your mother is making you soft. I'm going to take you out here. We're going to like go where there are literal man-eating dinosaurs. Like Goku acts like he didn't grow up in that, like the horrible version of Earth that exists in Toriyama's mind. Like it's the absolute worst, right? Because you could die at any time. Everything's trying to eat you, kill you, you know, whatever. Like you just go down the list of just how bad it is. So he takes his son out into that. The first world-ending danger that they run into, Goku almost literally like puts his son in the midst of that. Doesn't try to like. At no point is Goku like, well, how do I get Gohan out of here? Right? How do I keep him out of this fight? How do I protect my child? Like Gohan actually gets involved as a kid, right? Does he break Raditz's armor with the headbutt? Right, he like sees his dad in danger, and he's like, "Oh!" And then that's what makes the spot that Piccolo could kill him.
Yeah.
With so he also forces his son to watch him die. I mean, I don't know what the fuck you do. You're 5 years old. You're like, okay, now you're traumatized for life, which explains why Gohan grows up and doesn't want to fight, because his first and only experience outside was watching his dad get blown away by his surrogate father in a fight to the death with an alien. Like, it's the worst. And so you can go down the list of like all the ways he tries to get Gohan killed. When he literally comes back from the dead and is like, oh yeah, so there's this like super powerful guy on another planet. Like, oh by the way, we all need to go, but you're gonna go first. Like, what the fuck? I gotta train. Your ass can go first. Where he gets chased. He gets chased around a planet by psychopaths.
And then even to just add that, okay, so then. Let's talk about the surrogate father, who isn't even that much. He's not even any that much better.
Not really.
Piccolo is Gohan's dad.
People forget Piccolo's an actual villain.
Yes, Piccolo is not a good person, especially as a father character. Like, Piccolo was there. That's it.
Right.
That's it. Piccolo was there. Other than that, I mean, he was kind of that nigga was what? He was throwing Gohan at those fucking dinosaurs,
right?
And was like,
"Live, you need to get stronger, Gohan.
You gonna have to figure that shit out yourself." And all he did was watch over that nigga.
Yeah, this is why I'm saying, like, we give Piccolo a lot of credit as the black dad. That doesn't mean he's the good dad either.
That doesn't mean he's a good dad either. Yeah,
Piccolo was out there like he was trying to toughen him up, and the difference with Piccolo between Piccolo and Gohan is that Piccolo was like, I can only push this child so far. I understand, like, what I'm doing would absolutely get CPS called on me in a heartbeat. Like, just leaving with that plan. If I knew that, like, someone was taking a child out into the woods to do any of the things that they were doing out there, you know, like, instantly call the cops. Like, crazy, get him out of here. But, like, Goku repeatedly, over the course of his life with every one of his kids, had the same disregard for their safety, to the point where he was constantly putting them in danger. And then he gets like a pass because on a couple of occasions, like, no, everyone leave. It's just going to be me. And it's like, you're only doing that because your ass is selfish. You want a good fight. You don't even care if you won half the time. He'd be like facing off against a world-ending villain. He's like, I'm only going to use 50% of my power. Like, why? Do you want the whole world to be destroyed and your whole family die? He doesn't even care. Like, he's never cared once.
Nope.
And then he has the nerve at the end of all of it to ask for their power for a spirit bomb. Like, I'd be like, nigga, no. Finish this on your own. So he's bad. So
every time.
He no, not good. Yeah. So my other I don't know if it's a 1A, 1B runner-up possible winner is an outside choice. Okay? It's an outside. It's so outside that this character doesn't even have a name. Okay?
What?
Yes. On the same level as Gendo Ikari, I would put Ash Ketchum's dad.
Oh, shit!
Ash Ketchum's dad is a full-on... Now, the reason why I would say he gets into the bottom... The reason why he gets to the bottom tier is two things. Number one, Pokemon is a children's show. I don't care what anybody says. People out here like, oh, I'm a fully grown man. I love me some Pokemon. It's like, nah, bro. It's a show for children. It's always been a show for children.
It's always going to be marketed to us.
It's always going to be marketed to kids. Like, this is a show for kids. What is the first thing that we find out before you even meet a Pokemon? Before you know about a Pikachu? Before you know about any of this? That Ash's dad is gone and is not coming back.
Wait, did they say he's not coming back?
This nigga has been on a journey with his grandfather for 30 years.
I didn't even see. That's how much I did not even know about that nigga. Because I feel like they've alluded to him.
They will talk. Like, here's why it's always bothered me. Okay, so it's fine if you want to like center your show around a journey of discovery of a young man without a dad. That's been done before, and frankly, if they talked about him more, he might not even be at the bottom of this list. Okay, but the world of Pokemon is a very like. It's both horrifying on one end and then like completely sanitized on the other. This is a world where like these animals are the size of people. If you ever looked at like
and 10-year-olds are walking around,
10-year-olds just alone. Walking around in the woods like just it's in my view, now that I've like grown up with it, Pokemon is a dystopia. Okay.
Yes.
It's an actual, like, if this was the real world we lived in, it would be a nightmare. That's why when like Detective Pikachu came out, which I enjoyed that film. I went to go see it with friends. It was better than it was cute, better than it needed to be. But the subtext that I've always felt about Pokemon is that this might be like if I was reincarnated and someone told me right before I was born what universe I'm in, if they said Pokemon, I'd be like, kill me right now. Let's start over. I don't want to be born into this. So to get back to Ash's dad.
Can you imagine just walking around and being bitten by a Rattata or Raticate?
Bro, his son, not only is his son in absolute constant danger from everything. Like literally he's attacked. Idiot. This nigga's attacked by ghosts. He's stalked by multiple cults. He's been out here for years. And even when he's succeeding, his dad is nowhere to be found. Not at all, not a trace of this man. Like he erased his presence.
He won the Alola League.
Yes,
and that nigga still didn't show up.
His dad erased his presence on some fucking shinobi shit, like never to be found again. And we know for a fact he's not dead because they bring him up all the time. Dead. And his mother. And then think about like Ash's mom. Like people be joking about Professor Oak getting in there like as soon as Ash gets out of the house, but like leaving that joke aside, like he didn't just abandon Ash, he abandoned his mom to raise him. And this is a children's show, and it's presented like it's not even a big deal, and that's the reason why I put him so low. It's not even really anything he did. It's that the creators of this show, they were just like, yo, fuck a family unit from the top, right? This is actual trauma, and everyone's smiling all the time, like. No, this is a horrifying world. Fuck Ash's dad. Like, just the gulf of 30 years of neglect and abandonment, and we will never get an answer to it. They said they were going to tell people more about him in season 5, and they didn't even. That was untrue. So you get baited even by the creators of the show.
Wow, that nigga was nowhere near my fucking radar.
That's my personal bias.
Wow. I mean, you are absolutely correct.
My personal
with
bias.
All of it. You are absolutely fucking correct. So my worst dad is Show Tucker.
I was wondering if we were going to get to him.
I just for everyone else, at least they didn't touch their children.
That's true. That is true.
Yeah. Show Tucker, no. Like, I'm sorry. And I know it's a regular, like, anime community meme and shit like that to put the picture of what happened in places. But Goku, like, even like Azami Nakiri, like the nigga, the worst thing that happened was he made you niggas cook in a competition.
That's true. Yeah, like, if you actually break it down, like when you see, like it's actually not that bad.
It's not bad, nigga. It's literally like he's not threatening your life. You just gotta cook. Like that's
I will control all of cooking, and I will make my daughter also be successful as a chef. Yeah, I mean, it's
even
not
with
great,
even with Hohenheim, like I'm kind of just like, okay. None of these niggas actually like inflicted purposeful just like harm or disfigurement upon their children for something that wasn't even that fucking important in the
movie. It was so irrelevant.
It was so fucking and just like
for a bad plan.
Just Show Tucker not under the jail, just death.
Yeah, get him out of here. Like, I mean,
yeah.
Me and my wife have a joke from the Justice League where there's an episode about Gorilla Grodd, and Gorilla Grodd has the Injustice League together. He's got Lex Luthor, and he's gotten them, all riled up. They've been going on missions, picking up all kinds of equipment. Nobody knows what's going on, and so finally everyone gets upset, and they're like, "What? Why are we doing this? What big plan do you have that would require us to just run around and do all this shit?" And he gets them, and he's like, "Listen, we're gonna break into Gorilla City." They're like, "Okay, Gorilla City. Okay, they got technology, right? We're gonna find, the orb of power." It's like, "Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. Then we're gonna put a special hat on the orb of power." They're like, "What?" And then we're gonna turn the entire world into gorillas. And these niggas looked at him and they were like, "Motherfucker, this was your plan? That's what we're doing all of this for? Get the fuck out of here." And show Tucker's plan. I'm gonna sacrifice my daughter and combine her with our dog so I can learn a little bit more about human transmutation. What you gonna write a book? You gotta what do you where do you go after this? He's like, right to jail.
It would have been one thing if the nigga had just. It'd be one thing if he just got a random kid off the street.
That's what I'm saying. Why did it have to be? He couldn't come up with anything bad. First of all, how does he even know his daughter is good material?
Oh my god!
That's a big leap. That's pretty arrogant of you to think.
Good material.
You think your daughter is the best candidate to cross with your dog? That's just so convenient. This guy went to canonically in the storyline, he went to college, the equivalent of college, to become a doctor. So realistically, he should know better. Why you're just randomly your dog and your daughter? That's your big plan. Really? You couldn't have had a secret underground lab where you were kidnapping kids off the street and breeding animals? That would be no. It was just I'm doing my dog. My dog. What's gonna happen when people ask what happened to them? Isn't that literally how the story played out? They disappeared and then
she ran away.
Yeah, she and the dog. Simultaneously, was she riding the dog? In a matter of speaking, fuck out of here.
Oh my god!
I hate niggas with bad plans and bad motivations. At least have a good plan. Imagine if he turned his daughter into this super mutant that was just tearing up the city. That chimera just wanted to die. Whack.
Yeah. So that was my worst. I don't think I have anybody else. Oh, I had Krillin, but Krillin was fucking good ass dad.
Yeah, he's a fine dad. He's he's like the dad joke as a character. So I'm good with that. He's cool. There's other people on that I think about, but they don't stand out to me as just either having insanely good feats of parenting or the absolute depths, and some of them are just they're part of the story as bad fathers, but they don't actually do very much.
Just plot devices.
Because people talk about even in going back to Vinland Saga, Askeladd, but Askeladd's actually a pretty interesting dad. But he's not if you just watch the first 4 episodes, you're he's the worst dad ever. And then if you kind of watch the last 4 episodes, this man is a man, and it's it's somewhere in the middle of that. And it's a little realistic, so I think Thor's is just a better person to talk about, from that series. And there's other examples, but they just don't hit quite the same. So I would lean towards Gendo just on the OG status of all the horrible things he did. He's just an embodiment of everything. But there's things about Ash Ketchum's dad, or the idea that he exists just by itself that bother me.
The non-existent Ketchum.
He is so non-existent. There's not a single photograph.
no first name.
Yeah, like the funny thing about Jing, who kind of is like the same character, is that like you learn a lot about this dude, and his motivation for being non-present in his son's life is explained. You can hate it. You could be like, he's just a loathsome individual for being so selfish. But at the end of the day, like you do get an explanation. Ash Ketchum's dad needed to be in this story, and the fact that he isn't, and the fact that it's just thrown away he's been out with his grandpa. Like, this is for kids. This is the lesson you want to. You're sending to all these real life children, and then to throw Brock in there, who's an actual pedophile, to be like the stand-in parent figure, is just like out of control, absolutely out of control. You could do maybe Gambino from
Brock as a parent, honestly. He did great with his siblings.
That's true. He had a lot of siblings, and they were well taken care of. Good for that.
But him with Ash and on this road and
extra
his dick
creepy,
being wildly just like
inappropriate at every level.
Inappropriate, aggressive, sexual predator. Let's just put that out.
You don't send a child out with sex perverts.
Yeah.
I got words from Misty too. But that's on some other shit. So we could just leave that where it is. So there you go. There's your bad data palooza.
I thought that was a pretty decent list.
I think so too.
They're not decent.
No, some of them are decent.
Some of them are not. Yeah.
What did Trump say? Yeah. They didn't send their best, but some, I assume, are good people.
Oh goodness. Well, yeah. Do you have any recommendations?
I've been just diving into like all this trash.
Are you still on the manhwas?
Yes. I'm in the midst of all the gutter trash. Just the worst of the worst. They're all the same.
Oh, so is there a reason why you're just like on the trash consistently?
Is there a good reason? No. I think I found a good site that just collated some series together. I have an academic reason why I'm doing this. So here's my excuse: is that I have an epic rant coming up. Not this episode.
So you're building your sources.
That's right. I for references. Okay, I have an epic rant coming up, specifically about things that are very popular for reasons that
don't deserve it.
They don't. It's even less that they don't deserve it, and more the idea that like they're all the same. Everything is just the same. The same ideas regurgitated, rehashed over and over again. I don't read light novels, and a lot of this stuff is like out of the light novel space. And so I'm just wrapping my brain, or maybe not wrapping my brain, but melting my brain, trying to understand why some of these things are the most popular things. Right? This ain't no big three Naruto shonen bullshit. This is like the garbage. This is all like the isekais, the revenge trapped in a game or gamified world. Just absolute nonsense. So I'm going through them. I'm getting through them. Some of them have surprised me in small ways. Most have utterly disappointed me. I think I mentioned a couple weeks ago, Unordinary was maybe one of the most gross experiences I've had reading anything. And I've read fucking Mein Kampf and worse. Horrible, but educational for what I will be dropping in the near future. So I don't have any like real recommendations of anything special. I would say if folks want to get into Kaiju 8, this is a good time to do it since it seems to be on the upswing. I've been meaning to actually read Spy Family, but I haven't had time. I've been meaning to get. I mean, like I think it's good. It's more on the comedy wavelength. But I've heard that there's some real tense shit in there, even if like it's always diffused because the joke of the series is, they're these assassins and spies, but they are trapped in these very like mundane, real world problems that families actually go through, like trying to get your kid into the top private school and dealing with like the interview. But what if the family on the other end were these like undercover spies and assassins that are like really worried about their identities getting outed as a result of things like that. Like I've heard that's kind of where the story and the fun comes from, but I don't have time to read it right now, but I will get around to it.
Okay.
It's coming though.
I want to read it. No, I don't want to read it. I'm just ready for the anime. I've just always seen it, and I'm like, oh, these pictures look so cute, or like, not. It looks like cool, cute.
Yeah, so it's drawn in a very interesting way, and the people and the characters look good.
So, what was my my recommendation is for all you niggas to immediately go out and pre-order Shin Megami Tensei 5.
Oh, that looks good.
Your money.
It looks good
because we have a bomb ass anime protagonist, a female protagonist with banging blue flowy hair and a lightsaber right arm.
That shit looks good.
I need you niggas to go in on this because, yes, it's Shin Megami Tensei. The series is nowhere near in jeopardy of dying, but we need to let them know that we love them and love it. And it's not Persona, but it's where Persona came from.
Yeah, so, I gotta give a lot of credit to
your
both
ancestors.
Sides. Yeah, Persona and Shin Megami Tensei having like very, very unique entries. So like that, this is going to play into this rant of mine about creativity. It's really what it comes down to is creativity and commitment. And I've been meaning, you know what I'm hoping they do? I hope they do like a remaster of the Digital Devil Saga games because I really want to play them. Like I'm talking about like PS5 remake even. I've always wanted to play them, but I heard that number one, they're incredibly difficult. Like,
I heard they're hard.
Yeah, like they're super difficult. And also, if I play them now, I'd probably have to play them emulated. I mean, I have like original hardware, but I don't know if I want to go on my way to track down all that. But I really do want to play them. You know what?
That might be their next project because if they did,
or just a new one. If they did a new Digital Devil Saga, I really like the aesthetic of that spinoff.
I don't know if I would want a new one. Unless they would have to do a remake of these before I would even be open to a new one because Shin Megami, like when they do sequels and shit, like all that shit from the previous games usually always matters.
Yeah, of course.
Even if they're just like slightly adjacent, like even like Persona 3, 4, 5, like you didn't need to know what happened in the previous games, but all that shit is within the same universe.
Yep. So that's just my hope. I would buy a collection at this point.
You got me over here like wishing. Oh my god, these niggas do look cool. I love the demon designs too.
Yeah, they're great. So yeah, that would be my one hope. It's not really recommendations. I would hope that they release that.
Yeah, I'm recommending you niggas go out and you pre-order that shit and you support it. And if you don't have a Switch, you need to get a Switch immediately and give Atlas your money. Thank you so much.
100%. Okay.
All right.
I think that's it.
That is all for this week. So yeah, that was a good chunk of an episode, y'all. But it was the 1 year episode, and we had a lot to go over.
I know it's been a year.
It's been a year.
Last year.
And so now, well, no, let me not just say that. Y'all just gonna get it. Okay. Oh wait, I was about to do the fucking damn. If you haven't already, follow us on social media, TikTok, Instagram, just Anime Savants, and then anime_savants for Twitter. Yep. Hit us up at animesavants@gmail.com. Like, it gets checked every day. Mm-hmm. So we will see it if you send it.
Yep. And you can always find me at Neural Handshake on Twitter. Lately, I haven't had too many terrible takes with. I'm about to unleash the floodgates on these manhwas, so I look forward to pissing off lots of people. They get tagged. I don't care. It's open season.
Okay. Well, bye. Bye.
Peace out.